Bang! We are live with the man himself, Lionel of the Lionel Nation. Thank you guys so much for being here. A lot of you guys have been requesting this. A lot of you guys love the interview we did on his channel. Go check it out if you haven't. And as we just jump right into this, we are starting with a Gambino hit. That's what we're starting with in this whole thing. So get to what you were just saying. We were just talking about.
First of all, I don't. Don't I get the trumpet, the fanfare? Don't I get what am I? Chop liver?
Yeah, I forgot. Wow.
My God.
You said, I guess I fear you, like we were talking about off camera. Whoop, whoop. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. So we were, as you do, you talk about mafia hits and stuff like that. Talking a little bit about Carlo Gambino. You said all of that happened right near you. Please let me know what that means.
Well, first of all, I have been a student of organized crime as long as I can remember. And it is something that it's very rarely really talked about. And being in put it this way, I'm in the Athens, the Rome of the origins right here. I have been able to meet and rub shoulders with some of the and see where things happen and kind of get a feel for it, because it's something that no movie can ever really explain. Yeah. Well, Carlo Gambino was, they say, responsible for the assassination. Got to be careful. The unaliving of Albert Anastasia. And that's something we can't even use a term that is Albert Anastasia from Murder Incorporated, Lord High Executioner. And they got him at a place called A. Grasso, which is the Park Sheridan, at Grasso's barbershop. It was Joe Gallo and others, but it was part of him. This is when Gambino took over. And they thought the Gallo brothers were part of it, Crazy Joe and others. And by the way, I think one of his brothers is still alive. But it's up the street from me at the Park Sheridan, where I am now. On the other side is where Arnold Rothstein was shot and unalived when he was involved in a poker bet. He was, of course, he did the Black Sox scandal, probably the greatest one ever, precursor to Meyer Lansky.
Yes.
So all of this stuff and all of these folks were here, and it was a different time completely. And it's a wonderful story. Some of the ethics, I think, are really important. Some of the stuff. Not everybody was, is upstanding, to be sure. But it's a fascinating part. Lucky Luciano is the guy, is the man.
100%.
I don't know what that is, but you know what? I'm gonna hang. Oh, you know what? I'm getting. Don't even worry about that. Just don't worry about it.
No, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Anyway, that was Carlo Gambino calling, saying, "Enough."
Yeah, you were getting a call just.
The man never spoke. He lived in Massapequa. He had a couple of homes. Never said anything. Never was on the phone, even before wiretaps. Never. Just didn't. So low key. And by the way, of royalty from the old country, but so low key. There was a story where he was in Little Italy. By the way, if ever you come in New York, I want to show you around. Little Italy, what used to be Little Italy. There's a place called Ferrara's or whatever. He was there. And they said when he was there, it was like the Pope was in town. People just were going crazy. And he was so nondescript. Arthur Avenue is really where it's at. That's the original. That's in the Bronx. But it's real. It's the last of the old school, the old timers. But Lucky Luciano was the guy.
100%.
And he was the guy. And imagine growing up being part of the 5 Points in that area. What your buddies are Giuseppe Dotto, who was Joe Adonis, Bugsy Siegel, never called him Bugsy, it was Ben, Meyer Lansky, Francesco Castiglia, which is Frank Costello. These were your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Costello, they thought was Irish. They thought he was Irish. They didn't know. Remember, before Valachi, they didn't know anything. Then Vinnie Teresa later on, they didn't know anything. They had no idea. They knew people, especially when you have J. Edgar Hoover, by the way, who was so in, by the way, because this story about him, with the being caught with the dress with his girlfriend Clyde Colson. That's nonsense. Roy Cohn started that. But Frank Costello, by the way, he was a degenerate gambler, J. Edgar Hoover. And they were very, very close. Stork Club, all this stuff. So when it came time for them to say, "Hey, Jay," they called him Jay. "Hey, Jay," or G. What about this mob thing? He goes, "What are you talking about? It's communist." How could the head of the FBI admit that there was this group of people who were going on underneath his nose? Anyway, so Lucky Luciano, all of that, he was the guy. And the night of the Sicilian Vespers, remember the night they got rid of Maranzano and Massaria? They got Massaria on Coney Island. Remember the thing about the ace of spades? Photographers put that in. That's ridiculous. Massaria, they got right down at what used to be the Helmsley building, right there. That was it. He got them both. And he said, "We're going to start this." And he started the commission. He was it. He was the man. Lived at the top of the Waldorf for years. Nobody knew who he was. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, amazing. A lot of people don't know about Lucky Luciano. I know about him because, like you, I've been looking into Cosa Nostra for a very, very long time. Ever since I found out about Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, the fact that they were all friends. Meyer Lansky's getting beat up. Lucky and Frank actually pull him out, and they bring him into the crew, and they say, we're going to protect you in that whole thing. And then Bugsy's like a little off the wall at times.
Little pazzo, little chingad.
Yeah, man. It's
and also he was the first one ever who was talk about DEI or talk about affirmative action. The mustache Pete's, these old timers from the middle of nowhere, from the old days.
Yeah.
It had to be Sicilian. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Meyer Lansky's a genius. He's a Jew. He doesn't care if he's Japanese. Doesn't matter." This is how forward thinking. Don't forget also Appalachian, upstate New York at La Barba's home. This is where all of these people showed up from all over the country. And this guy, the state trooper, was his name Cosgrove. He's looking, he goes, "What the hell is this? This little place. You've got all these Cadillacs and these people are coming in, and they all ran into the woods." And that was the first inkling. Now, meanwhile, they're saying to J. Edgar Hoover, "Hey, here's another example. Are you going to start doing something about this?" It's communist. He goes, "Enough with the communists, will you?" So J. Edgar Hoover was their best friend. He just looked the other way forever, until finally it got too late.
When it came to Lansky and Lucky Luciano, really?
He didn't want to have it because, Colin, how can the head of the national FBI admit there's this group of people, this organized syndicate that you haven't been able to stop? No.
That are making more money than U.S. Steel.
Yeah. Well, that was Meyer. That was Meyer Lansky. That was his thing. But also keep in mind this is very interesting. During World War II, the government also realized, because it was as we say, balls of the wall. There was no such thing as organized crime. And by the way, some of these people were patriots. Vito Genovese, absolutely. But remember, they hated Mussolini. And Mussolini's main guy, Cesare Mori, who was like his chief of police, who was this torturer who would interrogate these people. They hated him because Sicily was theirs. So the first thing Mussolini did was threw them out. Similar to what Castro did, throwing the mob out. Very similar. So these guys said, "I got to get back, and we've got to get back." So the U.S. said then, remember OSS, Donovan and all these said, "Listen, do you know something about Sicily?" And they said, "Do we know something about Sicily?" Yeah, we live there. We know everybody. We'll help you. We'll give you all of the help in terms of landing and invasion. We'll run intel for you. We are patriots. So they said, "Great." This is before they knew who these people were. Then later on, after the war, you had like a Vizzini and Calogero and all these other people, Cassioferro. And they said, "Listen, in response, can we let these guys be the mayor and be the local because they were l'uomo di onore, the men of honor. And they said, yeah, sure. And they said, okay. So one of the deals we made was we put the mob in charge. So that was that. And then Operation Gladio later on, we needed their help as well. So this is where it started. Then later on through Johnny Roselli, going after Castro, going after the whole Kennedy, this intertwined ball of wax, this Gordian knot of, we don't know who's the good guys, who's the bad guys. And one of the reasons why they were so furious, not so much with John Kennedy, but with Bobby Kennedy, is after all we did for you, your father, Joe Kennedy, he didn't make his money really in bootlegging as much as he did Hollywood and other stuff too, but they were like this. Sam Giancana delivered Chicago. They were furious. So again, you see the layer, the concatenation of all of this level and strata, and it's so complicated, but it's fascinating. And these people would have been, they would have made money in the desert with nothing. They did. Absolutely.
Bugsy did. He did. He went to Vegas. He said, look at this. He goes, we're going to build this here. We're going to build that there. And it was so sad that he didn't get to see that happen, Bugsy, because he just kept on working for it and putting the money out there and giving people shares, giving people way too many shares. They were like, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense.
Virginia Hill. Remember Virginia Hill kind of spoke up a little bit too much. But it's a very, very interesting. I got to tell you a really great story. This is a kind of a fairly recent story. There was a guy who was an old timer who made the statement. He said, and the best thing about these people, and you can still see them, you never know who's who. You've got to go to places like, just show up sometimes like at a San Gennaro festival or just something where you just see these, and they have these festas, the Gili, where they walk with these huge statues, one in the Bronx, and you'll see somebody there and it looks like your grandfather's grandfather, some guy just sitting there, and you'll think you don't know who's who. But if you watch, sometimes you'll see this utmost, people will almost genuflect. You think, I don't know who these people are, but they really know about respecting your elders.
Yeah.
The guy Funzi Thierry in the old days, this guy you would have never, Gambino looked like nobody. I was from Tampa where Santo Trafficante lived, and this guy was just, he was, one time I was there at the drugstore and there he is, like nothing. No flash, pre-Gotti, pre-Al Capone, or really post-Al Capone. But I got to tell you what this guy told me. So he asked me, he says, let me ask you a question. He says, do you know, he said, why haven't they gotten rid of, not our thing, but this group of people? Why? He says, how easy would that be? It's not that many of us. It's not that many. Everybody knows who everybody is. How they're walking around telling me, hey, look at me. After The Godfather, it went from a secret organization to, hey, look at me. I'm connected, Anyway. Yeah. So he said, why do you think? He says, why don't you think they want to stop the Chinese triads or the Albanians? The Albanians are really something. The Russians, why? Why don't you think that the government could wipe us out in a heartbeat? Why? How tough is it? MS-13. How they're walking around, they got MS-13 tattooed on their forehead. What do you need? And he said something very interesting. He said, they want to keep the organization there. They want to keep all the pipelines in case they need it and us. And the line was, he said, they want to put their blood in our veins. They always want to maintain. I thought, oh, that's so poetic. There's nobody wants to get rid of anything. You always want to have the bad guys at your disposal where they owe you a favor. Cut a deal here, cut a deal there. I might need you one day. We might want to do something where we don't want to go on the record, so to speak. So you wonder, the difference between the old expression, difference between the bad guys and the good guys is a badge. That's it. You got to have that mentality to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's very it's a wild thing. I'm not surprised you know so much. I know I know up until Luciano. That's what I know. Like that's where it starts with me because that's the most exciting one in my opinion. It was so exciting what they did, what they built. You know, it's as if like imagine Richard Pryor, in a mist in just a fantasy world, Richard Pryor, Louis C.K. and
Dave Chappelle
are all friends. They're just buddies. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we're just gonna go check out the comedy scene. You'd be like, what the hell? What do you? And they all built the things that they built. It'd be insane. That's exactly what Luciano and his crew are like. It's amazing.
Well, you know what they did? But before that, even before that, what was the mentality? What was the thought process before that? In Sicily, remember, this is people always think of prejudice, and I mean, we've certainly known it here. I'm not going to go through that detail, but in Sicily, they had been conquered and vanquished by everybody from the Carthaginians to the Phoenicians to the Greeks to the Spaniards to the French. How the Canadians would have had they known where Sicily was. They were every week say, who now? The Carthaginians. So they learned we cannot trust or base anything on the government. If we have a beef, if we have something, we have to go to il uomo, the man, the onore, the man of honor, the local guy, not organized crime. It was no such thing as crime. It was just to survive. We've got to have our own kind of dispute resolution, our own courts, because we can't go to the police because they were feudal land barons, basically ran it. And these poor people were just, they had nothing. They could only trust themselves. The Turks, and do you ever see, what was it? Oh God, true crimes or true confessions, whatever. The great Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper line about the Sicilians. Remember that line?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's one of the things about the Turks and the Moors. So the theory that they always said about the word mafia. Have you heard these stories, these theories, where the word comes from? Have you the derivation, the etymology of it?
No.
Well, let me give you this. Well, this is what people say. Joe Bonanno said this, his book, Man of Honor. You got to read the Last Testament of Lucky Luciano. Get a hold of that. It's out of print, but this was his autobiography.
Wow.
Until he died. He was very young. He died in Rome at the airport. Anyway, supposedly, or some people say supposedly, in France, they had it. They hated the French more than anything else. There was a story about how the French couldn't pronounce, garbanzo bean. They would say ceci, C-E-C-I, ceci in the Sicilian. But the French couldn't say that. They would say like ceci or something. So they would go like this. Hey, come si chiama? He goes, ceci. Bang. And that's it. Not forget who played third base with that. That's it. They hated the French. So the story goes, now I don't know how true this is, but it's very romantic. Supposedly there was a French soldier, a lieutenant who assaulted or had his way with a Sicilian girl. And then, depending upon, it's like the old aristocrats joke. It's whoever tells the story adds another layer. So the French slapped the father with a glove in front of everybody. So assaulted the daughter, humiliated the father. Probably never happened, but supposedly there were these placards, and they had the phrase was morte. Alla Francia, Italia anela. Death to France is Italy's cry. MAFIA. Okay. Maybe not. And they also said, the father said, mafia, my daughter. Except fia spelled figlia, not F-I-A. So maybe phonetically. Okay. But mafioso was in Sicilian dialect meant strong, fast. And you can always tell Sicilian dialect because they end words with you, like beda, bedo is bedu. These words, diavolicchio, it's just, there's a sound to it. It's a dialect all its own. So anyway, that supposedly is the story, and nobody really knows. They don't use the word mafia here in this country. Never, nobody ever said nothing, no wiretap. Nobody's ever said mafia, ever. Mafia, la mafia siciliana, and then you get Ndrangheta and Camorra and all those other people. That's Sicily. That's Italy. That's another story. We don't say that here. Never. And about this thing, our thing, and all that stuff. It wasn't even. It was Cosa Nostra meant because they had no name for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so LCN. But that's the story, and there's a lot of romanticization about where this came from. Then when they came to this country, the people who would victimize these poor people was La Mano Nero, the Black Hand, who would over there. These rat bastards would prey upon these poor immigrants. And the scene from The Godfather, which was so good, when he had Don Fanucci or whatever his name was, when Vito takes him out, that's the hero status because they preyed on Sicilians. Well, they got rid of that. Who was this one guy? What's his name? Morello, the guy with the claw, the original. It was very ragtag at first. Mm-hmm. None of that really took shape until Lucky Luciano.
Wow.
It was very kind of loose because he said, we can't kill each other. We can't, this makes no sense. He was a genius.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. Then it gets to Luciano. Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, I only know about Luciano in the beginning from rap songs because, you know, hip hop originated in New York. So a lot of these young black guys, they idolized, you know, the mob, the Italians.
Oh, yes.
They loved the flash. They loved not even just the flash. They loved the money. They loved the secrecy.
Well, there was always a connection, but you know, especially uptown in Harlem, Nicky Barnes.
Yes.
Frank, but Nicky Barnes, but also Frank, whatever.
Frank Lucas,
Frank Lucas. They had to get approval, but the ones who really who brought the black gangsters in was Crazy Joey Gallo. Or they got at Umberto's Clam House. You can still go there and see the hole in the wall, you know, where they got him. But that was this they stretched out a little bit. Like, for example, I live in Hell's Kitchen, where we had the Westies, and they were a part of the Gambinos, but actually the West Side group, which is a Genovese family, and you know, that kind of thing. So, by the way, funny story. This is very interesting. You're gonna love this. When Vinnie Chin, not Vinnie the Chin, Vinnie Chin, his name is Cinzino. His mother called him Cinzino, short for Vincent, not the Chin. He was a boxer who shot Frank Costello up here in the Upper West Side. You can see right. All of this is within this block. When Frank walked in to his at the Majestic on Central Park West, it was Gigante who said supposedly, "Hey Frank, this is for you." And Frank didn't even. He said, "I think it's time for me to leave." Didn't turn him in. They became friends later. Such interesting theories. But Chin supposedly was on trial, and he's walking around downtown, you know, in his bathrobe, and his brother is a priest, and you know. So he kept saying, he's not in the mob. What are you talking about? I go, come on. He goes, he's not in the mob. He's sick. Yeah. So he lived with his mother. So anyway, so his mother one day was robbed. They robbed his mother, took her purse, snatched his purse. So they got the guy. This is the story. So they got the guy who did it. And they said supposedly to him, the police said, do you know who you robbed? You know whose mother? He goes, what? I don't like the sound of this. What do you mean whose mother? Who? And they kind of give him one of these, which he goes, no. And they kind of point, no. He goes, yeah. Chin, he goes, yeah. Oh my God. It's the only guy ever who didn't want to be let out of jail. We're going to grant bond. No. So anyway, so the story is a bit apocryphal. They said, listen, nothing can happen to this guy. Okay. If I'm not connected, then nothing's going to happen to him. So I don't want a hair on his head. So this guy was the safest man in New York. He was walking and sometimes be a car behind him. Like, who's that? I don't know, but they're making sure you're okay. Yeah. Now, after this happened, after the case, who knows? But this was social clubs. You could, the Raven Eye right now is Little Italy. Now it's like a dress store, and Burger Hunt Fish and that kind of thing. And the Palma Boys and was Greg Scarpa and Fat Tony, and it was kind of romantic, and nobody minded living in their neighborhood. Safest place you could be. Nobody ever said, please, anytime, no crime around there.
What do you think? Handing it back to the mob, given the state that New York City's in right now? You think handing it back to them would be a good move?
Well, I would rather take that organized crowd that has some kind of connection than a bunch of psychopathic killers, people who are just running around, who are. I'm not in any way trying to elevate crime is crime.
Of course.
But there was, by the way, interesting story. Remember the Willie Sutton? Remember the bank robber? Willie Sutton, they said Willie Sutton was a great bank robber. His line was, "Why do you rob banks?" He says, "That's where the money is." Famous. Famous. He was heralded. He was heralded. They love Willie Sutton. Anyway, supposedly Willie Sutton's on a subway, and this guy named Arnold Schuster from the Simon and Schuster, eventually kind of connected. He's some haberdasher, 20-some years old, points him out. He's on the lam, and he says, "Yeah, that's Willie Sutton." So he tells the police. Supposedly, the story is Albert Anastasia sees this, and they said, "Who is this guy?" He says, "I hate a rat. Get him." So he turns Murder Incorporated, Pittsburgh Phil Strauss, Abe Kid Twain, all these killers. And they shot this poor guy in the middle of the street. And they wanted you to know it was him. He actually announced to the world, "Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it." Oh, man. And that's why the old joke was kids sitting in school. Somebody says, "Hey, Colin, who killed Kennedy?" He goes, "I don't know, and I'm not talking." The idea was keep your mouth. There's an old Sicilian expression. If you can get in trouble for saying a little, think what happens if you say a lot.
No, that's yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Old saying in Sicilian, that's in New York, I guess, you say in the Black community, that is still very much a proverb that is practiced and preached 100%.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah, exactly. They summed it up a little differently. Yeah, exactly. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the intro. That is the opening statement.
28
As
minutes.
Darren would say, that was the opening statement of Lionel here. Let's get into some stuff here, man, because when we talked, you started talking about comedy. You started throwing out some names, and we have to go down that road because I have to understand exactly how all this came to be. Also, just to let everybody know, you guys know Lionel. Did I pull it in there? Pull it in there. That is his YouTube channel. Link in the description.
That's right.
Please support Lionel. The first person I have to. How do you know this guy?
Oh,
how do you know this guy?
Pasquale Caputo. Known him for years. I've got a Pat Cooper just here all the time. I used to attend a lot of Friars stuff. I wasn't a member of the Friars, but I did. But known him from the radio. Just know he was one of the best guys ever. Big. He doesn't look like it. Big. And he was like a bricklayer, and I'm not a brick, but he was a laborer.
Yeah.
One of the sweetest men in the world. But have you ever did you watch any of his roasts? Did you see him roast Richard Pryor?
Oh, no. Wow. I did
Richard Pryor couldn't move. Could be just laughing. He's a legend, Pat Cooper. I'll tell you about Pat Cooper. Pat Cooper was the first Italian. He would talk about Italian, he goes, "Let me tell you something. These people, these kids today." So one day I was in a subway, and I was looking, I was like, "Oh no," I hear that voice, "Come here." And I said, "Oh, I don't want him to see me. I just wasn't in the mood. I'm sorry, God forgive me." So I'm kind of, people read newspapers, and I'm kind of looking at them. So this black kid comes up, he goes, "Hey man." And we had the original, the official Greek diner cup. Here, man. "Hey man,
Yeah.
So Pat Cooper said, "What do you mean? Hey, man, no, you do it like this. You're going to be going, you have class. You show distinction." He goes, "Let me tell you something. I need some money." And people were hysterical. He's performing on a subway. And the black kids were laughing. He goes, "Now do it again. Try it again." He goes, "That's more like it." And Pat, gave him, the guy was loaded. Never took car services. He did Stern all the time. I think they kind of turned on him, but never, he always took subways. He was a New Yorker. He was just, everybody loved him. His famous thing was he didn't care who you were. You treated him with respect. Supposedly, he opened up for Sinatra. And Sinatra's guy was Jilly. Jilly was Jilly Rizzo. This was Sinatra's main guy, and had Jilly's on 52nd Street and whatever. So they were somewhere, and he made some kind of joke about, I don't know, the Bible or something. It wasn't sacrilegious. But Jilly Rizzo came to listen, if you don't mind me, Pat, he goes, "Frank doesn't want you to mention this particular joke." And when you see that look on his face, he gets that face, that look, goes, "Let me tell you something. You tell that guy I don't tell him what to sing, and you don't tell Pat Cooper what to do." Everything was 11. 11.
Yeah.
There was no where you can call him up. And he couldn't stand Jerry Vale. So one time I called him, "Yeah, Jerry Vale, please." I called him, he goes, "Let me tell you something." And a Saturday morning, he goes into a Jerry Vale. I've got a tape of him where he's berating Toady Fields. Yeah, I'm never going to play it for anybody. It's just, it reminds me. He was the greatest.
Oh, man, that's wild. Yeah, I was watching his stand-up because you mentioned him. I was watching his stand-up, and right away I was like, oh, I know this guy. Like, I've seen this face before. And just listening to his jokes, he's one of those people, very much like Pryor, where people hear me, I'll do like, I need some respect around here. How dare you say that to me? Like when I'm doing the white, when I'm doing the white voice, no, I meant like when I'm talking like a white guy, like, "Hey, what's going on here, guys?" A lot of people will be like, "Oh, Dave Chappelle," like, "Oh, you sound like Dave Chappelle," but in reality, it's Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was the first guy to take the white voice and make it funny and do that whole thing. And Pat's seems like he's one of these guys where he's like an architect of kind of the jokes that people use today. Like there was one joke, even in this little picture that I'm showing, he's telling a joke at this point. He's like, "Specialists. You don't see doctors anymore. You see specialists." And I can't hear anything. The specialist comes and he says, "Get in the boat." And he says, "Can you hear this? Can you hear that? Can you hear this?" And he says, "You need a hearing aid. It costs $1,600. I look at him. I say, "I can't hear you." Like that type of joke, like that type of joke didn't exist before. It's does funny now
because he was deaf. I didn't want to talk to him, especially on the phone. And then all of a sudden he could hear. I don't know what he did. I got to tell you one quick story. I love phone pranks. And I used to, and when three-way calling, I thought was the greatest in the world because we still have it now. But when it kind of came out, it was fun. So when I was
when three-way calling came
three-way calling, but see, I could call you up and I could have somebody on the line you don't know was on the line.
Yeah.
And then, so I want you to go back. I want you to watch Pat Cooper on the Today Show, on the Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder. He tore everybody apart, from Lola Falana, Jerry Vale, Dionne Warwick. He tore everybody apart. I mean, and I thought he lost his mind. I thought, I'm watching a man having a nervous breakdown. It's famous. Tom Snyder, Pat Cooper, famous. And in the old days, when I was like in high school, we didn't have VCR. So I had to wait until 1:00 in the morning. People thought, why is he asleep? Is he on drugs? I go, no, it's a Tomorrow Show. I had to watch Tom Snyder with Charles Manson. One of the greatest interviews ever. So anyway, so the story was, we thought Pat lost his mind. Okay. So one day I called Pat up. I said, "Listen, I've got a friend of mine. I'm going to put him on the phone, but he's not going to know you're on the line. You'll know when to come in. Okay. Trust me." He goes, "Okay." He knows. You don't have to explain anything to him. So I called a friend of mine. I said, "Hey, George, how you doing?" He says, "Great." I said, "You know what? Now Pat's on the line. He doesn't know it." I said, "You know what's funny? The other night I saw this, I thought about Pat Cooper. I said, remember when Pat Cooper was on the Tomorrow Show?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "I thought that guy was crazy. He goes, that guy's effing crazy. I said, you think he lost his mind? He goes, oh yeah. Turns out this guy is a doctor. He said, yeah, I'm a physician. He goes, I think he was out of his mind. I thought we saw. I said, really? I said, did you ever meet Pat Cooper? He says, no. How about I meet Pat Cooper? I said, well, I'd like you to meet Pat Cooper. And Pat Cooper says, let me tell you something. What do you mean I'm crazy? Let me tell you something, my friend Lola Falana and Jerryville. And all I heard was just empty. But I could see he's thinking, a Saturday morning, I'm having Pat Cooper berate me. How did this happen? Why is he? And he wouldn't stop. It was, I don't think he's ever talked to me since. It's just imagine all of a sudden I get you on the phone, I get Richard Pryor screaming at you. And you're thinking, how is this happening? He was the best. And if he liked you, he loved you. I'm going to send you some pictures of me. I loved him. Old, you know the guy Maniscalco now. What's his name?
Sebastian.
Yes, everything he does, but the Italians, Pat Cooper did it first. Everything. You got to see it. He did it first. He and Pat Cooper loved. He said, I wanted to be Jewish. He said, because in his family, if you were a comic, his father says, what are you, a joke? You're making people laugh. You're a clown. He goes, I know. He says, I wanted to be Milton Berle. I want to be a stalker. These people that class Milton Berle. It was true. His father thought he was like, they called him, I hate to say, a retardo and all this stuff. And later on, he found out that all the people they thought was Italian, like Tony Martin, they're all Jewish. He loved Jewish people. He said in the Catskills and a couple of things too. When I was doing stand-up, which I did forever, he said a couple of things. Remember, always put your money in your boot. Make sure somebody walks you to your car. He said, "What?" He said, "Why?" I said, "Because they'll pay you and then they'll rob you in the parking lot."
Of course.
I don't know if I want to do this. So anyway, he says, make sure they don't. He said, watch the cash. One time after a show, Pat's in the back room. In the back of these clubs, they got the guy in some little closet, and he had a weird light, like pink or something. It was weird. So there's this guy in front of him, and it goes like this. Yeah. He goes, okay, Pat, how much? And he goes, whatever. And he goes, okay. He takes a check. He starts writing a check, and Pat says, whoa, wait a minute. What is the check? You give him the money, not me the check. What is so many respect? He goes, Pat, take the check. The check's good. The money they gave this guy was like green, purple, but under this light, you couldn't tell. So they're giving this guy fugazi money. So those were his stories. Oh, love that man. Oh, he died not too long ago in Vegas. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, he's one of those guys. One of those architects. A lot of people don't know about the architects. It's hard to tell, because everybody, we're all young. We know about Chappelle. Some people who are younger who consider themselves historians will know about Eddie Murphy, right? They'll know about that whole thing, but they don't know about the guys as you go further and further back, like
I was watching an old I still like the Chitlin circuit because remember, Moms Mabley was so important. She was so critical. Red Fox, Pigmeat Markham, the old Here Come the Judge, and that I mentioned Dick Gregory, but that was a little bit later on. Everything is repeated. There's nothing new. Look at what you're doing right now. Do you ever see old Joe Pine? Joe Pine was the first guy ever to come out and really be the aggressive the interviewer. Nobody ever did this.
Yeah.
Nobody did this. People were very nice and polite. Joe Pine said, oh, no. He was it. I worked with the guy, Bob Grant, here in New York, who was famous, who was the original, kind of like the hardcore shock jock. Everybody loved him. Joe Pine was his inspiration. So there's always, look at rap. Who started rap? Cab Calloway, Blondie, Hank Snow, country music, syncopated rhythm. I can take you up in the Bronx where rap started, the apartment complex where it started.
Wow. People in Brooklyn will be very mad to hear you say that. There's always been this ongoing back and forth between Brooklyn and the Bronx and who actually started the whole thing. It's crazy about Blondie. A lot of people don't know about Blondie. Blondie looks like, I don't know, the chick from Scarface.
No. You're talking about the one who's married to a. No, I'm thinking about this.
She's
I know
very,
you're talking about. Right.
she gets with Tony. She basically just looks like that, and she's rapping. She's doing it in this very nonchalant way, and she's rapping, and it's way before you heard any KRS-One or anything like that.
Love it. KRS-One, by the way, is one of his political. You know where I heard about KRS-One? Through Alex Jones.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. KRS-One very much.
Michelle Pfeiffer, by the way. Michelle Pfeiffer,
exactly. Blondie was like a rapping Michelle Pfeiffer. But very interesting, because KRS-One is very much, in my opinion, like Dick Gregory.
Absolutely.
Where he had this one profession, and then all of a sudden it turned into this more political stance because his friend was killed. You know, he had somebody who he actually rapped with, and he was killed in gang violence. And this started changing the way he looked at things, and he started really questioning things, and it leaked into his music. And then he turned into this political activist, and very much like Dick Gregory, he was this joker. He was a funny guy, but then also it was like Dick Gregory stepped away from comedy almost as he got into his older age, and he was like, I'm just doing this. And honestly, more impactful than most people that you would call a political activist, especially for the Black community. You know?
He was so brilliant, and he's so. See, I love the Alex Jones. You talk about the OG. He was the first one really to say, behind the curtain, behind this. Let me explain to you what this. He talked about globalism before anybody talked about it. Nobody knew what you were. This was brand new. I was used to this, and that, Democrats and Republicans, and this and that, and that. And all of a sudden, he's talking about things like, what are you going to talk about? When he talked about, and everything he did, he would always be able to, if he talked about, gay frogs, he had an article to explain how their sexuality, their morphology was affected. He didn't just make this up.
But like architects, a lot of people don't realize Bill Cooper was actually doing this before Alex even began in his whole career, before he was known at all, back when Alex was skinny. Hanging out with Joe Rogan, Bill Cooper was already talking about all this stuff, but it wasn't as known. And you could argue Alex was more entertaining, which made and Andy was a great looking guy when he was young. Great looking guy. I mean, you can't argue it. He had a great build on him. He was a great looking guy. Looked just like Bill Hicks, if you know that theory.
Yeah. Well, many people thought, the old expression. Bill Hicks, by the way, started off into that. How do I say that? He was too cool for school. The old Peanuts thing. Snoopy was just too cool for school. He was a little bit, his audience, he didn't really care. He didn't care whether you liked it, whether you understood it or not. Lenny Bruce was really funny at first, and then he got into, after he was indicted and charged, he would go on stage and read his indictment. I mean, Lenny, please, nobody would do this. But everybody has to remember, and you have to ask yourself this question. Everybody has a red pill moment. Everybody has theoretically that one moment where you went, Colin went this way, and everybody, Colin was okay. And then something happened. Somebody hit him on the head, and next thing you know, Colin's talking about all this. I don't know what happened to him. I think there's some water. I mean, he went this way, and we went this way. And everybody has that moment. See, that's the thing which, if you see, if I know the dynamics of your red pill, I can listen to you. I still do conventional. I still do weekends on WABC, 2 to 5 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And I can't hit them too hard with this. They'll go crazy. They won't know what I'm talking about. I mean, they really think, not WABC, but people in talk radio, they think that we're winning the war against Iran. Yay! They think that. And I'm not about to, burst their bubble and say, no, it's the opposite. But what was your moment? When did your friend say, Colin is not exactly, have you noticed how he's something?
I don't know.
He's talking a lot of stuff that
there's so many moments. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could go back when I was, you know what? No, there'd be no moment like that with the people around me, because I've been like that for a long time, since I was probably 14. Looking into the first stop was Freemasonry.
Oh,
then George Bush Jr. was in office. We all started discovering what the Skull and Bones group was.
Oh, yeah.
Hear the weird things that he had to do, the laying in the coffin, the weird little thing he had to do. We learned the significance of 322. And also a lot of people around me were into that same thing. So it wasn't like I had any kind of, I guess you could say squares. The Italians didn't care. I tell the Italians about this, they'd be like, who cares? Who cares?
Well, they were the original. Their original Skull and Bones literally involved skulls and bones. So
yeah, exactly.
A little bit about that. But
I mean, that was the moment. I mean, when I started looking into, as soon as you could get on the internet and everybody was posting this stuff on the internet, because that's where I got my information from. And we had the internet a little earlier than most people. I was 13, so maybe that was 1999. So we had it and we were going through it, and that's when I just started looking stuff up. So that was like one of the moments where I started like expanding and learning things.
Do you know I've been doing YouTube for 20 years, since 2006?
Wow.
Yeah. Really? I didn't even realize this. I didn't realize this. I mean, this is, and you'll see it. You'll get to a certain point later on. You say, really? I started talk radio in 1988, 38 years ago. What? So I mean, it's like, what? I mean, so time like goes by 38, 10 years, 15 years. So I've seen this stuff. But everybody, you've got to remember, what about this? Colin, can I ask you a question? Listen, not for nothing, but what is with you and this Candace thing? Seriously, am I missing something? What the hell is the matter with you?
Well, I grew up.
This woman is a widow, and you're making fun of her. What the hell's the matter with you? For God's sake, she went through this, and then the other day she has to be brought out of this thing because she has PTSD. And you son of a bitch, you're laughing at. I sound like Pat Cooper now. What are you doing?
Well, me myself, when it comes to work, because what I do online is my that's my job. I don't mix it with friends. Like if friends try to bring up like what I do, I'm like, we're not getting into this.
I do.
I won't go into that deep. But of course, I grew up around I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, right? So a lot of my friends are of that distinction. So there are questions that do come up.
Your story is like, first of all, you're hanging around the boys, the Italians. Then you're telling me you were, what are you, like an honorary landsman? You're hanging around the Orthodox Jews. It's like, who are you?
My mom made sure that we would be poor, but in like a good area. She wanted us to be safe. So she wanted us to be like in this neighborhood, but in the poorest place where the government, I guess you'd call it like Section 8, where it was all very heavily subsidized, but surrounded. Like you could go, 20 minutes one way and there'd be mansions. You'd go 20 minutes another way and you'd be like, around crackheads and stuff.
Where was this? What city was this?
But hold on. Let me just get into the moment with the Candace stuff. Now I have one friend in particular where we argue about this stuff all the time. He's the one friend I'm willing to get into it with. We have these conversations all the time, whether it's about Tate or Peterson or Ben Shapiro. And he is, I mean, we talk about like, I call them Zio Rangers because we try to use certain words. He is the head of Zio Rangers. He is very much in that camp. So he thinks Ben Shapiro's a genius. He thinks the Daily Wire is the second coming of media. He's very much like into all the things, like you said, like the people of talk radio and what they think's going on. And we'll push back and forth. We have our conversations, but the reason I do that with him is because we are such good friends. We've been friends for like 20 years. He's younger than me. I've known him since he was like 14, since he's real small. So basically, I'm around these Italians, and I bring this kid. He's like Meyer Lansky, basically.
Yeah, right.
He's getting beat up and pushed around because he's a scrawny kid, and I'm like, I like this kid. He's hanging. And
you're vouching for him,
yeah. And so like he's been around me forever, so I love him. So we have those discussions because we're like family. We'll have those discussions. But other than that, if somebody, and I keep my circle very small. So other than that, if somebody comes to me and they want to talk about what they saw online, I'm not really going to do that with them. If they're like family, I'll explain. But the thing is, I guess I'm blessed where the family, the people who I'm around, they are very open. They're very understanding. And they've watched me go through all these evolutions. And rarely am I I don't know, belligerent or doing something just all out crazy. Even when I had my huge time with psychedelics, they knew I was doing it for a purpose. It wasn't just to be belligerent on substances. It was for a reason.
Now, I didn't know anything about this.
Oh yeah, that's why I have my whole arm is covered in mushrooms, right? Like they're all tattooed. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. They're everywhere. They're everywhere from Hawaii, Hawaii to Toronto. Why did I stop? Oh, I found God. I found God. God works a lot better. God works a lot better, in my opinion. But it brought me to that place. It brought me to that place.
But mushrooms brought you to God.
Yeah, they brought me to a place where I understood, like, oh, like there's a veil. There's a veil that's in front of all of us, and you know.
It's putting on glasses. You can say,
yeah,
oh, I can see now. Okay, I can see.
There's something to all this. So I started realizing that. Then I saw something very dark, evil. And then I realized that, you know, if there's evil, there must be an ultimate good. And that put me on the path.
And you're not going to tell us? You're just going to taunt us with this stuff? You keep dropping this stuff and I ask you, I'm not going to tell you about it.
Well, I mean, like, you know, when it comes to like all this stuff, like, I mean, there's just a long period. And this is what I didn't want to get into, but like, this would be one of the moments. Like this stuff was like a huge red pill moment.
Why don't you want to get into it? This is the most interesting. People don't want to talk about.
I'm talking about it. Well, it wasn't a political moment. It wasn't anything like that. You know, anybody who understands. It's like, if you haven't done it, it's hard to explain. It's like explaining to someone that doesn't have kids how great kids are. You know? It's explaining to them that the poop doesn't really smell that bad, and when they throw up on you, it's not really that bad. It's so hard to explain. But anybody who's done it understands, like, there's just this veil lifting off of you. But hold on a second. I want to talk to you, okay? Because people have heard this on my channel many times. Some people haven't, but a lot of people have. I've been talking about it for years. I've been on here since 2014 talking about all my shadow work and all my personal development stuff. But for you, you have comedy, you have law, and you have broadcasting. I want to know, how did that start? Did they all intermingle, or was it one at a time? How does that work with you?
And by the way, not only that, there was also TV, and there was also politics. I worked for a senator, and there was also other prosecutor and other things too. One little surprise, you know, if something comes up to you, it's like, take it. You know, you never know. No plan, nothing. I had no plan whatsoever. I kind of knew that was about it. College was about it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Things just started to happen. And I got to tell you the thing which I found out. I always knew I like this, whatever this is. Since I was a kid, we were always on tape recorders. We would do prank phone calls. We were always pretending to do things. I always watched performers, but I think I'm not going to do this. Oh, I was on this an episode of House of Cards.
Huh? Really?
I still get my SAG-AFTRA, my residual $1.50. You're not going to think, but that was the most boring thing anybody's ever acting. If that's acting, you can keep it. Yeah. But anyway, it just, things just happen. I always thought, you know, I really like doing this. I've been like this. You got to understand this. This is me, no matter what. If it all goes away, this is me. I'm not some recluse. I'm not I will talk to you like this at a tire store or at a bodega. It's me. Period. End of subject. It just kind of fell into it. And the problem is always finding people who, how do I say this? People who understand me, and most of the time they don't. They always did it during my life. And I was used to that. And I realized I'm an alien. I mean it. There was a song by the Atlanta Rhythm Section. Sometimes I feel like an alien, feeling like I don't belong. Nothing really like an imposter. Like they're going to find out. You know what I mean? But it just so happened. And then one day I found out that talk radio in 1980, 46, I was starting law school. I just finished with work with a U.S. senator. He lost. So I was 22. Something like that. 22? No. 30. Yeah.
You're 22 in the 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah. I was born in 58.
Wow.
So anyway, so I was doing this thing where I was listening to this AM radio.
Yeah.
And it was this, I thought, and I kind of liked talk radio. We didn't have too much of it. We had, I think, an open mic one time, and it was a lot of, they had things on the weekend, like, shopping, trade shows, like swap shops. And, well, I'm trying to sell, a quilt, and, boring.
Yeah.
And then when I was listening to this, and it was AM, it was a decent station. And I thought, this is the most boring stuff I've ever heard in my life. So I was just doing nothing. I figured, what the hell? So I'll just do what I've always done, prank phone calls. It's because on the phone, you can be anybody you want. Anybody. So I called up, and for some reason, as a younger person, they always thought I was some old Jewish guy. I don't know why, but sometimes I'd lay on this kind of a faux New York thing, because I'm from Florida. But so they thought I was some old Jew on some retiree somewhere yelling and screaming. I'm 22 years. Anyway. So I called up, and I had 3 rules I came up with very, very quickly on these shows. First of all, be this first caller of the show. They had 3-hour shifts. Be the first caller. Set the tone. If the guy's got 3 hours to go, I'm the first caller. Number 2, never talk about the subject. Never. Why? Don't let him tell you what to do. You tell him where you want to go. And number 3, if at all possible, always insult the host family. Piss him off. So he's pissed off. He's mad. And he's got 3 hours to go. And they're not used to this. They've never had this before. It's always been, hi, how are you? Hi, Colin. I'm selling a quilt. You again. Anyway. So I called up. And I remember the first time somebody was talking about whatever. And I always called up, the poor board operator. I said, I love this show. Is there any way I can get on right now? I love that. I've never enjoyed anybody, but I agree with them 100%. You're next. Thank you. So he goes, okay, let's go to, and they had no names. They go, okay, let's go to Westport. Let's go to Dunedin Beach. Wherever you said you were calling from.
Yeah.
So I called up for the first time, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. I said, well, look who it is. You, the expert. Who in the hell do you think you are? Spewing this garbage. And they go, and he goes, why don't you? I said, you shut up. You let me finish. You shut up. Now, anybody else would say, I'm not going to put up with this stuff. They let me go. I said, I can't believe this. I said, I hate you. Now I'm going to go into it. I'm going to do like a Ben Shapiro. I'm going to go for I'm going to be a Laura Loomer. I'm going to go for I'm not going to be enough for this. I'm going to hate you. God hates you. I hate your breath. I hate your soul. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to Loomerize him. I'm going to hit him. And for the rest of the time, all they did was they talk about me. They said, can you believe that? Oh, Colin, I'm so sorry. I don't know why. They never had this before. I said, this is great. So the next time I put a little cassette in my Kenwood receiver, and I record it. I said, this is great. I show people, listen to what I did. This is great. And I pass it around and go, I've never heard this before. I said, this sounds stupid, but in 1980, nobody ever did this. And I'd call again.
Yeah.
And they recognized me and said, it's you. I said, you better believe it's me. I'm your worst nightmare. You going to hang up, punk? I'm not going to, it got worse and worse. Anyway. So one day they said, this is the most stupid thing. I don't even have a name. I'm like I'm Gulfport. It's like, then I'm Tampa. Then I'm saying, what these names? I can't relate to a city. So this movie Scarecrow, I was just watching with Al Pacino and Gene Hackman. And Al Pacino played this character named Francis Lionel Del Bucchi. He was Lionel, Lion. So I said, my name, I got a name. It's Lionel. I just picked it out of the nowhere, picked it out of the air.
Really?
Picked it out. It stuck. And I called back again. He goes, oh, is this Lionel? I said, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. You punk. Anyway, that was my name.
Wow.
That was it. In 1988, this was years later, after calling and people knew who I was, it was kind of a small community. I had my own, just like us. They know who you are. This guy called me one time. He said, listen, he said, I want to talk to you about something. So I told my partner at the time, I said, wear a suit. We were lawyers at the time. I was already a prosecutor. We had our own little firm, doing our stuff. And I said, listen, wear a suit. They're going to ask me to do a job. I don't know anything about this, but just look like we act like we know what we're doing. Wear a suit. So we went there and he said, listen, would you like to do weekends? I said, sure, of course. He said, let's talk about money. I said, okay. He said, what do you think's fair? I said, well, what do you think's fair? Brilliant negotiating on my part. I was really good at this. He said, I don't know, $100. Now, it was for a 4-hour shift. Now, I knew, Colin, I thought the people on the weekends, they did barter and trade. They paid the station, for their plumbing thing or their, So I thought, am I going to pay $100? Well, so when he said, I thought, well, it's all right, I guess. This is 1988, different money, inflation or whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, $100. And I looked at him, he goes, well, that's all we can pay you. I said, what? So help me God. I said, you're going to pay me? I said, I'm going to come in on a Sunday, bring my friends in with coolers and drinks and risk your license so I can realize a dream. Nobody's going to be there. So I'm going to be on my own. And you're going to give me $100? I said, it's a deal. It's a deal. So I went there one day. I brought my mother in. I said, take pictures of this because I'm not going to be on the radio next week. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, but these bastards, so you call me right now because and I went through all the lists of how they all suck. And they went crazy because I said, I'm one of you. I'm not one of these idiots. I don't have a big voice like they do, but they're still, and I went nuts. I said, great. Next week, come back again. This was in October of 88. January, they said, how about doing midday? This is WFLA in Tampa, 17th market at the time. Middays, 9 to noon. I said, I'm not going to work for $100. He goes, no. I said, what do you think's fair? What do you think's fair? Brilliant. And I'll just leave it at that. I said, what were you paying the lady before me? He said, $35,000. My jaw dropped. This is 1988. Teachers, principals. I said, you're kidding me.
35 grand is like $1 million today.
For 3 hours a day. That's the greatest thing. And I'm thinking, I couldn't believe it. I said, this is nuts. This is weird. 5 months later in October or August, no, October, I should say. August or October, I did afternoon drive. Boom, boom, boom. So when they say, what's your secret? How did you do it? I said, just wait. They'll call you. They'll just call you. And that's pretty much been the thing. Then one day there was a guy named Jim Arcaro who happened to live in Sarasota, heard me and said, would you like to go to WABC in New York? This is the president of ABC Radio, O&O Radio, Jim Arcaro, the great, my godfather. He said, would you like to go to New York? I said, let me get this straight. You want me to leave this flourishing law career where I'm representing the worst, bad people. It was criminal. And I said, I got to sit in court for 3 or 4 hours to have a case called. I got to chase these deadbeats down for $100. You want me to leave that and to go to the #1 radio market in the nation to do what? Morning drive on WABC? You damn right. Shook his hand, said, I'm out of here. And that was it. That was 93. And the rest, it's just been it's a Cinderella story. So that's it. And then this started, and this is better. I worked with Rush Limbaugh. I worked with him. I was at the height where talk radio in New York, you couldn't get near it. Rush Limbaugh, remember how big he was? They had Rush listening rooms. Restaurants were losing money because people were sitting in their car listening to Rush, and they said, oh, come on in. He was the nicest man in the world. He changed it completely. It was during a heyday. I worked with Bob Grant, who was a monster. This is better. This is better. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. It's less constrained, that's for sure. This setup used to cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, I know.
Just to do something like this.
You had to wait for somebody to call you. You had to wait for a KTLO, or you had to move to Sandusky, Ohio to do overnights at some, who the hell needs that? Do this. And plus, it's you. It's Coach Colin. It's you. You don't have some numbskull, some pissant and puissant intellectual, this negligible twit telling you what to do. And, you repeat yourself. You veered. You know what? Veer this right here with your veer. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do this for 3 hours, you schmuck? You sit there. Oh, and you meet these people and they want to change what you're doing. And you got to, oh, God.
Yeah,
this is the best.
The notes. I know that from like working in film and television, like the notes that they'll try and give people. It's usually a producer and they don't know anything.
I know.
They don't have any actual talent, but they just want to just get their claws in a little bit. And it's mostly so they can say that thing that he did that you like, that was me. I made sure that happened.
God, did somebody tell you to say this? We worked at a place, it's called 77W, and now I'm back doing this on the weekend, but it's called 77 WABC. This was 77. This was Cousin Brucey. This was rock and roll, the Beatles. This was, and they called it 77 WABC from the beginning of Methuselah. Okay. So this program director comes up one time and says, we're changing it to 770. So why? Don't you understand? On your car, on your digital, it says 770. It doesn't say 77. So you're going to change the name of this? Yeah. Why? Because it says 7. Excuse me. So I'm in this room and I raise my hand and said, pardon me. I don't want to be a jerk. But are you going to be telling anybody else about this other than the people who already found you? I mean, are you going to go on TV, have billboards and TV to tell them that it's really called 770? No. I said, so the people who miraculously found this, you're only going to tell them. I said, call it 43. It doesn't matter. They found it. Why are you changing this? They came in, the little styrofoam logo in the studio. Yeah. They took that down. I told them, I said, don't get rid of it. They took the stationery. I said, don't get rid of it. So help me God, within, I don't know, period of time, went back to 77 because somebody said, that's me. I did that. Wag the dog. I did that. You see that? I did that.
It's a wild thing. I mean, working in film and television, because I had to start from the bottom, and then I got up to like set design, and then I got to this, which is, I don't know, in some people's eyes it's lower, some people's eyes it's higher.
What?
But well, I mean, if you're a camera operator, if you're a camera operator, then this whole thing is just like, what's this? Because they want to go on to, they want to work with Nolan and they want to be on the new Batman film and they want the credits there. Good. Right. So they look at this whole thing and they go, well, I don't know what this is, but it's only because they don't understand. Right. Whereas other people who have started from the bottom of film back in the day, they look at this thing and they go, wow, this is the same type of thing that I was doing years ago. I remember I did an interview with a producer director. And it was one of the first interviews I did. I was trying to interview a bunch of creatives about creativity. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to sit down with writers and producers and actors and painters and just talk about creativity. And I had this guy and I was asking, because this was like my way of getting in front of these people. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. So I'd be like, how do I get a director to come and talk to me? I'm like, well, I say, hey, I want to know about you. Like everybody loves that, right? So he comes and I'm trying to get advice. So I'm like, what can I do to make this better? I have basically the same setup I have now. And he's like, well, this is it. Because he's been in film for a long time. He's like, this is it. He's like, this is it. He's like, you learned how to set up the light yourself. You're bouncing it off the wall yourself. He goes, you're manning the camera. You know how that works. You're doing the microphone. He goes, this is it. He's like, I don't know if that's bad or good for you. He's like, but this is basically it. He's like, you're doing it already. And at the time, it felt like a little bit like, I wish he would have gave me some like more advice. But looking back, I was like, yeah, he was right. Like this was it. Like I didn't need to know more, do more, have it be bigger, have 10 people in the room while I'm talking to Lionel who are giving me notes and all that stuff. I didn't need any of that. So.
And name one person that you're listening to because of their set. Have you seen, for example, for example, like Sean Ryan has an interesting set.
Yeah.
It's a bar. Nobody drinks, but they're in a bar. So, okay, interesting, And you're saying, well, I gave up drinking. And say, well, what the hell is this? Anyway, it's like you going to a head shop. Say, well, I said, anyway. So, but it's got to look and it works for him. Now, Sean Hannity, bless his heart, I've known him for a long time. Good guy. He does his thing called, he's doing this thing. I got a glass. I'm smoking a cigar. It's like a rumpus room and there's a beanbag chair. And look at this. We've got a foosball table. And hey, it's like, no, this is a Sean Ryan ripoff. First of all, it ain't working. You have to organically just do it.
Yeah.
You have to just do it. And whatever it is, because have you ever looked at YouTube and seen some of the big, like there's probably an Indian girl unboxing curling irons for like 20 million views. It's like, they don't care if you're upside down in a laundromat. They don't care. That means nothing. It's do you have a place in your town, wherever you live? I don't know. That's okay. I don't want to know about it. Don't tell me anything. Is there a place in your town, like a little hole in the wall or something? It's kind of like, I love this place. It's kind of quaint. We just like it. There's a diner we have loads of them here. And it's got a feel. You walk in and say, yeah. It's like half of the fun is the fact that you're eating in this. Well, that's what this is. Sometimes it's a set. Sometimes it's a set where you think, what is that? Is that book what, it's you. And if you change anything, it's like, did he change that? No. Did he take that picture down? No. Why? Who is that behind you, by the way? Who is that? Rogan or who is that?
That's Rogan. That is Rogan doing the ape face that he does notoriously.
But if you took that down, they would say, why'd you do that? Why'd you change that?
Some people want me to change it. Some people don't. It's a lot.
You know what? You have your show and you change your thing and let me know how it goes. But certain things are just don't. There's a place in New York. It's like the oldest place. It's called McSorley's, and it's an ale house. They serve ale, I think light and dark, and like liverwurst sandwiches. And I mean, it is so old. It is ancient. And in World War, when men would go off to war, World War I, they took chicken, like wishbones, and they would leave them on top of the light fixtures. They've been there for 100 and something years with dust. And I mean, you don't know where you're in. It hasn't changed. They'll show, they say it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. And you go there because of it. Now, I can't explain that. Nobody wants to eat this, drink ale and all that. Nobody wants that. Eat an onion sandwich. What is this? But the point is, that's this thing. It's like, don't change. Everybody's got a style. Candace has her style. You've got yours. Baron's got his. I don't know it's just, I'm not watching we don't care about that. Give me something to watch and let me just kind of connect with you.
Yeah, I watched this conservative guy go from, I don't know when I started following him, maybe 1,000 subscribers, maybe a little more. I watched him go from that to, I think he's hit 1 million, and he just had a white background. It was just white. It was like this with no pictures. It was just white. There was no background color, like nothing. He would just sit there and just, and that was it. And he just would do like 4 videos a day. He still does like 4 videos a day. And he's 1 million subscribers. People love his content, and they don't care about the background whatsoever. Hold on.
You're going to talk to these.
Hold on. I want to know about some firsts, because like I said, you have these 3, almost 4 lives that you've lived here, right? So I want to know about the first comedy show. You're a comedian. The first one, what was it like? What did you talk about?
Oh, simple. A big room at the Claridge in Atlantic City. The big room. The Claridge Hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is big. Buzz, I don't know. I think Buzz Aldrin was there for one of them. I don't know what it was. But this was big. I had no idea. No idea. The one thing about this, though, is I will tell you this. This is as close to me as a psychopath as you will have. I have no appreciation for consequence and nothing. I don't feel shame. I don't feel embarrassment. My head and heart is not connection. I have no consequence. A psychopath is not somebody who hurts people. A psychopath is somebody who's hit and hard or not connected. They don't. You tell them something. They say, what do you mean? I mean, I feel shame. I mean, I feel regret and things like that. I never want to hurt anybody, but embarrassment, no. See, whenever people talking in public, it scares people. See, I was a stutterer, and I had one nun who told me one time that I was retarded. I'm serious. I said, "Oh, I'm not kidding you." And I said, sister, I'm not sure if I mean, maybe that's part of being retarded. You don't know you're retarded, but I'm not feeling it. So they told me you can't speak and you can't do this. And I said, well, guess what? I was a lawyer and did all this stuff because I had to learn how to, and I still do it, but I had to figure out a way around it. Mm-hmm. And that's why whenever I talk, see stutterers, you'll never hear from them. They're not going to call you. They're the most subterranean people in the world because they're so embarrassed. They can't even say anything to you.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm around them, I'm their best friend. Say, come here. So what's your trigger word? Tell me, what words can't you say? And they stop. They just say, I get it. I'm with you. Here's my problem. This is what I do. So that was one of the things too. So obstinacy. So what I'm saying is it never bothered me. I'll just figure a way around it. So my first thing was the clarage, and I'll say, I'll just go out and do it. I'll figure it out. And people say, but don't you, I did an hour and over an hour, first time ever. An hour.
The first time was an hour. Hold on a second. Now, why did they let you do that?
Never told me not to because they paid a lot of money for this and they don't want me to do 15 minutes. They didn't have an opening act. I also played bluegrass. I had my bluegrass trio, play a few songs, but that was because I'm saying I can't do 10 minutes. I can't tell the people to go to Atlantic City and then I come out and do 10 minutes and have a nice day. Like, wait a minute.
So hold on. So your first show, they're paying you? Why are they paying you for your first time?
Because that was on WABC at the time.
Ah, so you had the leverage from the radio.
Oh yeah. No, I said, listen, I'm gonna show up. Oh yeah. Oh, I would never. Oh no, I have no interest in doing open mics. No.
I love open mics. The way you're talking about like little holes in the walls, I love going to open mics. I love it. I love the people. I love the people who are at the bar who hate that we're there. I love the whole thing. I love the guy who's keeps going to the washroom because he's clearly doing drugs. The whole atmosphere of open mics is just always so good. So you got the leverage from radio. So radio starts before comedy.
Yeah.
How long in radio before comedy even like comes?
Almost immediately. Well, when you're doing when you're doing morning drive in New York, you do it. I make no bones about it. By the way, I don't want to do that again. I don't like that. Because I can't do comedy and I don't like comedians, don't like them. And there is nothing, I got to tell you, first of all, there's this thing that comedians do that drive me crazy. They sit around and they have to act like everything that everybody says is so, they don't just laugh. They laugh like they're having a convulsion. Like it's paroxysmal. It's a cachinnation. It is this guffaws, I can't stand it. I'm frenetic.
Cachinnation.
Yeah. I hate it. There was a time I remember one time the guy I really like is Theo Von. And I like this. What's her name? Nikki Glazer, whatever her name is. She's yeah, because women comics, if they say, please be funny, don't talk about being a woman. And also, with all due respect, don't talk about being black. Don't talk about, and whenever she's somebody who has a handicap or a guitar or a mannequin, please just talk to me. I don't want to hear, I'm a parent. I don't want to hear about that. You're not the first parent.
Wow.
So she, you know what I mean? She's good because she doesn't talk about being a woman. And so one day she was on with Theo and he said something like, Theo is basically a brilliant person who comes across as this lovably retarded savant. You know what I mean? Well, he'll say, sometimes I wonder if it's true that, am I coming on to you? I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. I was okay, fine enough. You and I said this. They say, what is this? He says it and it's charming. They jump to Nikki. She's hysterical. She's on the ground kicking. It's like Jerry Seinfeld with that, not everything Norm Macdonald said was that funny, but it was, but you had to laugh. You have to laugh. If I see one more time about Bobby Lee being offended about being an Asian, I'm going to say, enough, stop it. I don't want to be around these people. This isn't funny. This is like mechanistic. It's like, it's a kata, These people probably, if in their real life, couldn't tell a joke to save their life. They think they're formulaic. They think it's about, I'm not funny, I'm a comedian, I'm a comic. I know the set, I know this. They've got this routine worked out, and they're great, and some are terrific. And then you realize them. Listen, for all you know, Dave Chappelle may not be a nice guy. In their real life, some of these people, never meet your heroes. Remember, it's true what they say. You may meet these people, and you may say, I don't like these people. They are not. Richard Pryor was a really bad guy in real life. This was not this, and he was, because of his life. I mean, he was a crook. He was a criminal, a thug. This guy hurt. I mean, it's hard to walk away from that. He may be great on the Tonight Show, but don't think for a moment that, they're your friends and they're loving. So I work with a lot of these people also on TV, and they're very, very, they're very odd. They think that they're, I wrote a joke one time. I said, oh God.
So you're talking about like the person who is like a podcaster who calls himself.
Talking about
no. Hold on. The person who's a podcaster and they call themselves an artist. Like they kind of build themselves up into way more than what they actually are. The comedian who is looking at a bit like it is this surgical thing, and it's really just like a fart joke that translates into a joke about his balls. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? And then they say that on stage, and they could be very humble about that, but instead it's like, no, you don't understand the layers that went into this whole thing. And and when it happened, the day that it happened, and the light hit the camera and the light hit the microphone just so, and it was a magical thing that took place. And not everybody can do this. I'm very special in what I am on board with that completely. I do not like when people build up what they do into way more than it actually is. That's why I often say, and I said it to you, I make videos. I don't need to be called a journalist. I don't need to be called fantastic. I don't need, people are always like, Candace should shout you out. I don't need shout. I don't need any. I just make videos, take care of my family, call me a husband, call me a father. Those are the two things that I really am, that I love. Call me those things. If I come off as a comedian, if I'm comedic and I'm funny and I'm making you spit out coffee and everything, that's absolutely amazing. But I try not to build it up to the point where it's like, I'm a creative. I'm not this person you think I am. Okay.
Well, also, and they get to tell you if you're a comic. See, you can't tell them. If they laugh, and also, see, I would be the worst. I never want to be in a room with me, because some of the stuff that I love, or I say, you know what? That's good. That's my enjoyment. I don't guffaw and laugh and I don't do that. So not only am I a bad audience, but I wouldn't want me in the audience, because I want somebody. It's like, what do I really want? Do you want me? Laughing is great. It's terrific. I love that. I appreciate that. And there's also, I got to tell you something. There's nothing. It's like, would you please stop? I'm sorry. And it's been around for a long time. Let's pick on people in the audience. Where are you from? What do you do? Is this your girlfriend? Oh, stop. No. Did you ever see Key and Peele? Key and Peele is beyond genius. There's genius, and then there's genius. Did you see the fellow who was a Key, or I forget who was Key?
Well, hold on, because there is somebody. Where is he? He is number 3. Here he is. He is doing what you're talking about. This gentleman here.
Oh, Jackie Mason. I knew him.
Jackie Mason. In this set, he's not doing the crowd work thing, but he is poking at the audience. He's like, I got all the stiffs up here. Could you guys go sit up there?
That's he does the thing, goes, Mister. Could you do that, Mister? Do you hear me, Mister? There's always a Mister. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody who stops the show and goes into it. Where are you from? How long have you been together? By the way, Jackie Mason was I knew him so one time he went to a thing we were the guest of, it was a Catholic league. The Empire State Building refused to honor Mother Teresa. And I was there, and a lot of people were there, dignitaries, priests, people. And Jackie Mason and I were on, and he He was on before on. We all stood up on this flatbed truck, and we're standing in front of the Empire State Building right there on 34th. Boom. And people were saying, this woman, a revered mother. By the way, she was not a great person, but anyway, the revered mother. I mean, after all, Mariah Carey had a day of recognition. Why shouldn't she? Okay, fine. Nuns, priests, Jackie Mason, one of the filthiest tirades, and this F and this, why don't you take this and you think you got, and people were saying, good God, he didn't care. He used to do this thing where he and Raoul Felder, by the way, Raoul Felder, famous divorce lawyer, whose brother was Doc Pomus, who wrote Save the Last Dance for Me, among others. He would do these things, and it was about Israel and this. He was funny, but he got very, very, the politics wasn't funny. But when he was on the Ed Sullivan show, and Ed Sullivan banned him forever because he did one of the best Ed Sullivan imitations ever. And anyway, but he did this. Nobody did. There was, you wouldn't know this, but Myron Cohen was he did not Jewish humor, but Jackie Mason, that was it. Pat Cooper was it. They were Italian, Jewish. He was great. Actually, really funny. But if you met him, oh my God. You say, where's Jackie Mason? Who am I talking to? He was somebody who was he was not I don't want to say notoriously cheap, never married. It's a long story, but he was a classic. I was one time at the Friars Club with Soupy Sales, Henny Youngman, Dick Capri, who was one of my favorites, Freddie Roman. I know these names, but there was a show called Catskills on Broadway, and they had all these comedians from, I mean, they're like laborers. Jan Murray, Jackie Leonard, Jackie Gale, Here's one for you. There's a movie called Tin Men with Danny DeVito and Richard Dreyfuss, I think it was. And they had this guy, Jackie Gale. Jackie Gale had the lift. There were Jackie, man, all these Jackies. And they would meet at a diner in this scene. They sold aluminum siding. And all these salesmen would meet. And Jackie Gale would just riff. And I don't know if you're familiar with Bonanza, but Bonanza was a big show in the old days. And he was let me tell you something about Bonanza. He goes, they're all 40 years old. And when they made the cut, right, they die. All the women are dead. Who's killing these women? And he was going off into these, and they said, keep it in. Keep it in. He was just anyway, these were comics from another realm. They could just turn. A lot of these folks today, if I say, hey, can you go up and riff? No. I've got a set. I've got to do a set. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. These guys are from another planet. Another planet.
Yeah, I've always had an issue with that because I can go and riff without even talking to the audience, and I don't have to focus on the audience at all. In fact, it gums it up because they don't have the timing, right? They don't have, they can't feedback properly quick enough, you know. But yeah, a lot of people, they want the set. They want the set. They don't want the riff. They don't want the unknown that can happen, which is why I like the broadcasting, which is why I like the live podcast here, because the unknown, the gray area, the what could be seems really fun. It's just really fun what could happen. Like yesterday, I went off on this tangent where I was doing an impression of Candace Owens' husband because Loomer is portraying him as this gangster, like wielding guns and getting pulled over and paying people off like he's a mobster. So I'm doing this imitation of him, like listening to gangster rap and this and that. And it's like this 10-minute tangent that I had no plans of doing it at all. And it just turned into like this 10 minutes of just gold, you know? And it's like, I like that ability to have that happen. You know?
Well, it's your show. And you know what? The bottom line is it's about you. And if you liked it, that's all that counts. I may, you know, I may not particularly care for it, but it's like, it's your show. And the idea of George Farmer, this Oxford, he went to St. Paul's, and he's somebody from like the Lucchese's. You know, he's got a name like Johnny Lugatz. I mean, he's got a nickname. What? I mean, the whole thing is, see, but that's it. If you go for it, if you see, Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. This isn't brains. The bottom line is simply this. And you got to remember this. You do, let's say, if you work during the weeks, you do 20 shows a month. You do, let's say 5 days a week, 4 weeks, and you do, let's say 20 shows. That's it. At the end, I will base what I like on you on this composite of 20 shows a month, not one thing you did or didn't do, not your background, not your set, not your wallpaper. It's a feeling I get. And I want to hear a feeling. And sometimes I might not be as riveted, but it's like, it doesn't matter. I like you. Sometimes I'll listen to Candace. She'll go through names, and Baron too. I don't know who the hell they're talking about. I've got rap sheets, and then Worthington actually fired Lumiere, and Lumiere wasn't a part of it. It wasn't Mikey. It was the Blitzky. And I don't know who these people are. What are you talking? But I'm listening. I'm compelled to. Well, there must be something. All I know is this son of a bitch. I don't like him, whoever he is. So I listen to these, and I'm not, because I'm more into like the big picture. But I'll listen to it. I don't hang on it. I have a different feel. I like sometimes, for example, if Candace gets upset about something, I know she's upset about something. I don't even care what it is. The fact is, whatever's happening right now, this is important to her because she's upset or she thinks it's funny, and that's it. I don't have to understand it. I don't know who these people are. Colvet and this and that and all these miserable people, and they're all miserable. They're miserable. Seriously. Yeah. And I'm listening to them. I'm thinking, this is just great stuff. So why do I watch? I just do. I can't explain it. See, my life changed with, you talk about comedy. To me, it was professional wrestling. Professional wrestling changed my life. That's it. That's life. That is life.
When did that come out? Because I assume like you were younger and it didn't exist and you were there the day that it came out. When did people start doing professional wrestling like that?
Well, it's been around forever since the 30s, 40s, 50s. But it really, professional. Yeah, it really hit like in the 60s. And what happened was, growing up, when I grew up in Tampa, we didn't have a sports team. We didn't have the Buccaneers or anything. We just had professional wrestling. And in the South, NWA, it was some of the best ever. The best. Greatest professional wrestler was Dusty Rhodes. I saw the best workers. So anyway, there was a fellow named Gordon Soley. Gordon Soley was the announcer. And he was the greatest ever. So when I graduated from law school, you take the bar exam in July. You don't find out until like November. It's like, what am I doing? So I'm like, I can't practice. So I worked with Gordon, and Gordon says, come on, I'm going to show you the business. And I met all the wrestlers, and I met the business. Later on, became great friends with Bobby the Brain Heenan, and you name it. Did work for them as a lawyer, but also kind of in this group. And one of the things which was the most important was the secret was so secret. You never let on, because you would say, is this fake? I know it sounds stupid now, but then was it fake? If they found out you said something, it's called kayfabe. Kayfabe was the angle. And if you ever broke kayfabe, you're through. If a promoter, let's say you're a heel, bad guy, and I'm a babyface, I'm a good guy, and we're ever seen together, we're fired. We're done. You broke kayfabe. What if somebody saw you? What if somebody saw you? Did you ever know who Bobby the Brain Heenan was?
Of course.
Okay. Bobby loved him. His wife Cindy, his daughter, knew them.
Just to interrupt, that actually did happen to Hulk Hogan and I think the Macho Man. They actually were seen together.
No, actually, it was the one you're talking about. It was the Iron Sheik, and it was Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I think. They were caught. Remember, it was a cocaine or something. They were on the New Jersey Turnpike or something. And Vince supposedly was more upset of the fact that they were traveling together and that they had drugs. Or I think it was Iron Sheik and somebody else. But
Hulk Hogan and I know for sure it was Hulk Hogan. They were at dinner together because they were seen in a restaurant, and people were like, what are you two doing together?
Oh, absolutely.
And again, it sounds ridiculous to us who were born
one time I was at the Palm with Bobby Heenan, and somebody came up to him and said, hey, Bob. And he was like, and I said, did you have to do that? He said, you don't understand. He was a heel then. I'm a heel 24 hours a day. You don't understand this. They don't want to see. They want to be able to tell their friends. I mean, it was an act. It's called putting them over.
Wow.
And I got to put you over. And I can't just entertain you. I've got to believe you, and I've got to make you hate this guy. And you may know this, but I cannot break kayfabe. And by the way, kayfabe is there's a story behind that too. But do you ever hear speaking, like when I was with Gordon, I was at the Boutwell Auditorium in Birmingham. And he said, tonight we're going to bust your cherry. I said, what the hell does that mean? I don't even want to know. He says, no, I'm going to take you backstage. You're going to go backstage. And I walked in and they looked at me and he said, no, it was almost like a friend of mine, a friend of ours. It's almost like the mob. He gave me the blessing.
Yeah.
And I was there and they're working on finishes. And it's like Santa, oh my God. And it was the greatest thing ever. I had such respect for these people, the bumps, the potatoes, the ethic, how they had to convince 20, you never, ever, ever break kayfabe. You are an actor and the greatest athletes you have ever seen in your life.
So you think this is where the politicians learned it from? This whole concept?
You know who knows it? Trump knows it. Trump is. I
think Gavin Newsom, and definitely Trump as well. They both.
Gavin Newsom is a punk. He doesn't know anything. He is so. He doesn't get it. Let me tell you who doesn't know it. Believe it or not.
He doesn't break character though. He doesn't break character.
Doesn't have a character. He doesn't have a character. Doesn't have an act. There's nothing to break.
He is American Psycho. He never breaks the American Psycho, dealing with all the stuff going on in his head while he just smiles. He never strays from it. Even when he was in front of a woman, I don't know if you ever seen this. He was in front of a woman while the fires were going on. He's like, I'm on the phone with the president right now. She goes, let me see. And he goes, I actually just hung up. Like he never breaks character. He knows he's lying. He could just be like, all right, whatever. Yeah. But he never breaks. He stays with it. I don't like him at all.
But he's not a Russ. Lindsey Graham, who as a politician I detest, but he is a heel. He will say the most preposterous things. Trump does it. Let me ask you something. Again, whether you like Trump or not, there has never been anybody in your lifetime. You're going to be telling your grandkids about it. You're going to say, these are the most boring. There's nobody. Maybe Andrew Jackson. Maybe, Andrew Jackson, getting into duels with people, wanting to kill people, this guy's stuff. Harry Truman, by the way, when they made fun of his daughter Margaret's singing, he told somebody from the Washington Post, he says, when I see you, he wrote this on the White House stationery. He says, when I see you, you're going to need a beefsteak for your eye and a supporter. Meaning I'm going to punch you in the eye and kick you in the nuts because you make fun of my daughters. This is the president in 1950, whatever. So he was kind of like that too. But Trump, whether you like him or not, he is on another level. He says stuff that say, how many times have you said, what?
But get this. When we talk about wrestling, where did he start? Did he start politics first or did he start wrestling first?
Well, he started
WWF. He was in there. He had a storyline.
No, that was later on. In the 80s, he was the most popular person.
This was 100% before politics, I said.
Oh, no, I know. No.
Politics or wrestling. He was in wrestling.
But before that, no, he was a big shot. They loved him in New York. He was on every TV show. Yeah, I did the Vince McMahon thing, but he did that a couple of times. That was a bit. He recognized it, but look, this is a guy, again, whether you like him or not, it doesn't really matter in terms of absolute value. In math, absolute value is 4, absolute value of 4 is 4, absolute value of minus 4 is 4. It's magnitude. Either way. This is the guy who said, I'm going to go into the show business, and he was in the #1 show, never was on TV ever. A show I never watched. I never could understand it. This is a guy who said, I'm going to go into politics, and he becomes president. He did things that were he was bigger than life, and they loved him in New York.
But you have to understand. You're talking about everything that he did. He learned it directly from Vince McMahon. He didn't just do a bit like they just put him in there. He had a relationship with Vince McMahon. Of course he did, because he had Vince McMahon's wife in his administration. Of course there's a relationship there.
Vince McMahon he only did a couple of things. Vince McMahon, no. This guy was...
Trump went into politics 2015. Am I wrong or am I right? 2014, let's say.
Well,
Am I wrong or am
ran
I
for
right?
office. Ran for office.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Ran for office, was donating to Hillary and all that stuff beforehand, donating to the Democrats. And then before that, in the 90s, he was in wrestling.
Before that, he was in New York when we had the Central Park 5. He puts a full page ad and basically calling for the death penalty. And this guy was everywhere. He owned it. Vince, that was okay.
To say he didn't learn anything, look like you're talking about him being the biggest heel. Who trains people to be bigger heels than Vince McMahon? Then I can't say that Trump was trained by him.
No,
but to act like there is no correlation between what he did in wrestling and what he does in politics.
Vince came along and said, "Okay, I'm going to do you." Vince also got Mr. T. They got Cyndi Lauper. He got all these people. He just picked them and he said, "Okay, fine." He was not in the stable. He wasn't kayfabe. Look, that's fine. He did his thing. I appreciate it. But before that, he was a natural showman. He knew what it was. He knew. How about Teddy Roosevelt? Teddy Roosevelt remember when Teddy Roosevelt got shot by a 45 he had in his speech? It hits his speech and the bullet hits. And he continues with the speech. I mean, this guy was, after this fight. Trump is, again, he's nobody. You'll never hear this about Trump. Never. And I can tell him exactly, this is what I think is right, this is what I think is wrong. And he'll say, okay, he doesn't care. He's the first kayfabe, does things where you think, he's the only guy who declares victory no matter what. No, if he were George Custer, he'd say, we won. He doesn't. Anyway, I don't remember. People don't want to talk about that because, remember, children didn't know anything about politics. They just woke up, and they're very offended very easily. By the way, you mentioned something about people saying something, friends of yours who are Zionist or whatever. I'm sure you know how to do this, but you got to know how to talk to people who are like they're crazy, and you got to know how to diffuse this. And remember this: when everybody listening to me, you're going to have a boss. You're going to have somebody somewhere who's going to make some suggestion, maybe who writes the notes or tells you what to do. And it's going to be so stupid. It might be a spouse, but it might be somebody you just, you want to acknowledge it, but you don't want to agree to it. So what you do is you say, interesting. And you just move on and you treat them like they're crazy. Like you're talking to somebody who's in a home, like, I see. And you repeat what they're saying. So you think that we're successful in Iran? I see. And that's it. And they go, what? No, it's interesting. What do you mean it's interesting? So what you've done is you're saying you're not even worth it, but you're very polite. Another thing too is, remember this. You will use this today. When you want somebody to do something for you and you're asking them and you're calling up the cable company or this or the whatever it is, the appliance, the HVAC guy or anybody, and you want them to do something for you. You can say, now what I'd like to do is I realize my warranty ran out 6 months ago, but I would like you to do this on the house. And you can understand that. And they'll say, yes. They don't know why they say yes. Whenever you say, and you can understand that, they say, well, yes. Wait a minute. All right, Mr. Colin, pull over. Have you been drinking? I can't answer that question. And you can understand that. Oh, yes. People just say yes. So always tell them, I'd like to continue this contract, but for at least a 25% bump in salary with every other Friday off. And you can understand that. Yes. It's like a patellar reflex. You hit they just say it.
Yeah.
It's worked for me all my life. They just say it. Yes. That's okay.
That's
absolutely.
All right.
Also, remember, don't argue with people. I've got a friend of mine who she hates Trump. Oh, we have been, for some reason, if you listen to me, I've only disagreed with like 90% of what he said, but I've never said anything about him. It's about his policies. I'm telling you, the guy's the greatest heel, greatest kayfabe ever. And they go, you don't hate him? I said, of course I don't hate him. I never hated Biden. I don't hate Kamala Harris. I don't hate anybody. This is politics. What are you talking about, hating people? And that's what they hated. They hate that. And I've lost friends, longtime friends, people that, And I said, I never said anything. So you know what? Thanks for letting me know your lack of loyalty. It would have taken me years to figure that out, but you just sped it up. So thank you. You know this. People are gonna find out. They're gonna hate something you say because that's where we are, Colin. If I don't like what you say, I gotta hate you. I've got to hate you.
Yeah.
You know what you say about COVID or what you say about this, what you say about that. I've got to hate you.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
I'm used to it. Okay. So we was a very, we're weaving here, right? So now give me the first broadcast is when you went in there, your mom's taking pictures and everything, coolers, drinks, everything like that.
Right.
The first time on stage as a comedian, you're doing it off the leverage of the broadcaster, right? Which is incredible.
93, by 93.
Makes perfect sense. And I can identify with that a lot because, having our conversation, I've been looking into it more of venues and where I could go, whether it's New York, LA, etc. And I could tell that there will be a little bit of, because I talked to a couple people and they knew me.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, so you know what I mean? Like there's kind of this thing where I will probably, be ahead of someone else who maybe has been at it for a month or 6 months or even a year because I can just move in based on what I've done broadcasting.
Yes. How can you not?
Yeah. I understand that as you're saying it. So I was
No, but I'm saying,
surprised.
but sometimes you ever see HBO from HBO. Who is he? Or was he on HBO? Not even sure. But they'll put from HBO, from the Howard Stern show. Was he on the Howard Stern? They'll just say it. So for you not to, at least to have something, but YouTube, why would you not say it? And by the way, whatever you do, please don't take a picture like this. Why do comedians have to do this?
I don't know. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I know exactly what you're talking about. They all have and they're all doing that weird stuff. I don't get it.
There was a guy one time. There was this fellow who was this. Oh yes, remember this guy? You don't remember this? There was he might be dead. I don't know. His name is Bob Nelson, and Bob Nelson was a guy who came out and he was dressed. He put on a football helmet and pads, and he would be like this punch-drunk football player. And he did this act. And everywhere you go, I'd see him. He's got the picture of him. I think he passed away. But it's like, that's it. That's all. That's it. That act that everybody's seen. Remember when Andrew Dice Clay was so huge, and then people said, okay, now what? How long are you going to do the Andrew Dice Clay thing?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question if you've got the guts to answer this. Who do you think is not funny that everybody says is so hysterically funny? And you're thinking, I don't get it. You got to be very careful. Because in the comedy world, you must love certain people.
Who people think are hilarious that I don't think are hilarious.
Well, you never got. You don't wish him harm, but
Trevor Noah would be that. But I do respect, like a lot of people. Well, I mean, and a lot of it has to do with your like political leanings when it comes to Trevor Noah, because he's leaned into the Daily Show and stuff like that, and just politics in general. But I will say I do respect his work ethic. I've heard stories about his work ethic of sleeping in like this little place, and he goes and he performs all night and he does multiple shows because he's in New York. So I know you in New York, you can get on stage 6 times a night if you really wanted to. So I do respect the work ethic and where he came from, but I don't get it when I see that. Jon Stewart, I don't get that. That's another Daily Show person, because I feel like with John, I've talked about this. I've made episodes about this. I feel like there's a little bit of deceit when I see him do what he does on the Daily Show. He really tries to, I've seen him do this with Tucker. He really tries to have this veneer of being in the middle, but he's really on the left, right? But he's really on the left. And I don't really I like to tell people where I'm at. I like to tell people, hey, I'm conservative. I like people to understand what they're watching when they're watching me, or if I'm showing them something, to understand what I'm showing them. Because if I just acted like I'm in the middle, when we do that, we're acting like everything we are showing or talking about is coming from this moral high ground. I have no stake in either side. This is just me with truth and justice coming to you. And I've noticed that he does that, and I don't like that. I don't like that. So maybe that's why I don't find him funny. I don't know. But yeah, those are two people that come to mind. Because I actually think Theo's funny. I think a lot of people say that with Theo, but I actually think he's funny because, like I told you when we talked, I love Harlan Williams. And Theo Von reminds me so much of a young Harlan Williams, where he would just tell these stories and you're like, what's real? What's fake? I love that. I love hearing a what's real and what's fake. I can't tell what's true and what's not. I love stuff like that. You know,
rule number one, you do not know, you cannot explain what you find funny.
Yeah.
Number two, you can't define what it is you're enjoying. You may not be laughing, but you don't even have to explain this. It's one of those things where, but as long as there are enough people like you who not laugh hysterically, but will show up and buy tickets. Not people. There are people who will get, I mean, they're you can, I'm telling you, you can go to some clubs and these people are, I mean, they are howling. The guy has no gigs. Nobody's heard of him, but he's good. Was that fair? I don't know. I have no idea. There are people who go sometimes just to see somebody who's funny. So I gave up years ago. Don't even ask. Who knows why, what's funny and what's not. I find sometimes there are people who are really good. Like I've heard people say some stuff about Trump that I thought, I may not, this could be a problem politically, but I'm thinking that was good. That was right on the money.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with that at all. None. See, the thing is, you've always got to be able to understand. Like, for example, I understand why some people hate this country. I understand it completely. I understand it. We've done stuff that's horrible, not only to other countries, to people here. Horrible stuff. Now, not us, but the government. So exactly. I'm with you 100%. So people say, oh, stop it. Come on, if you don't understand this, then again, I can turn on a dime. See, I can tell people all the time, I say, sometimes I'll watch what happens. I swear to God, I think, oh my God, I see something happen with civil rights. One of the worst things I ever saw in my life was when Emmett Till, his uncle or somebody was the man who identified these two sheriff or whoever the two people were that Emmett Till went off with for whistling at a woman, a white woman or whatever it was. This man stood up in court and there was no witness protection. And he spoke. They said, "Do you see the person in the court today?" And he stood up and he pointed and his quote was, "Dar he." Now it said dar he, dar, D-A-R, he. That was it. I almost cried. The guts this man had. Now, I can sit there and say, how disgusting. We live in this. This is horrible. Then you turn around and give me some DEI nonsense. It's like, what the hell is this? Now, is that inconsistent? No. This is legitimate. This isn't. I have known people all the time where in New York City, you got to see something. Stonewall here. You got to see in Christopher Street. You know that in 1969, what gays and this people would come from around the country just to hang out, they would be beaten up in their town. Some kid in Dothan, Alabama leaves and hears about this place called Christopher Street, and they came to New York, and they would have to on the west side. There was a meat packing district where they had these trailers where they had the meat. The place smelled like blood for years. Now it's high end, and they would have to meet inside to either have sexual congress or whatever you want to call it. It was horrible. If you wore a wig, they could arrest you. So guess what happened? You're gonna love this. Guess who helped these people out? The mob. The Genovese family owned the Stonewall. They said, look, you can come here, just buy our watered down crap, and you can do whatever you want. We'll protect you. The mob did.
Wow.
Told these gays. So that's why the Stonewall. Well, one day something happened. They lost their control of their clout, and the police came in one day and they pulled the jukebox out and they raided it. This time, something happened. They don't know. They still don't know what happened. They blew a whistle, something, and there was a riot. And it came out of nowhere. And the New York City police retreated. by a bunch of gay sissies, and people were wearing a wig, and they were humiliated. And that was 1969. And gay rights, they fought back. And the next day was the first gay pride parade. Okay, that was like, yeah, how dare they? Now, let's jump to this. You've got Ketanji Jackson Brown Jackson, who can't define what a woman is. What the hell is this? This guy's walking around. My pronouns are, I got your pronouns. This is stupid. So I can go from this to this. So this is our history. So we live in this. So what am I, a conservative? No, I just told you my heart broke. Yeah, and they always have these litmus tests. No, it's not, I don't care what people say. I know BS. I have a BS detector. And when it redlines, I'll tell you. It's it. I'm sure people have told you. Everybody says, we don't think you're acting. We're from the Black, the accreditation division, and I think we're going to have to reconsider your membership. What? You're not saying something that comports with ours. Excuse me? You've seen this. I've seen people. Well, we don't think you're conservative enough. We don't think you're liberal enough. We don't think you're white enough. We don't think you're whatever enough. It's like, who are you?
Yeah, me, Candace, Officer Tatum got kicked out of the Black Club a while ago. I would think. Yeah, we got kicked out. We're not. They ousted us. They, like Jazzy Jeff, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They threw us all out.
What was your transgression? Think about
it. My voice, mainly just my voice. My voice and my political beliefs. I think that would do it, and willing to call out the nonsense that we see.
See, that's the part that gets me. You're apparently you're speaking maybe perhaps what. You don't have a particular patois. You don't have a particular style. You're not using the wrong idioms. You're not. I one time. This is my favorite. I had a lot of Black clients when I first was into practice, and I could imitate them so many times. And I would call people up a lot of times, and it would be a very, 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 very thick, what you would call urban or ghetto or projects or whatever it was. But I could just. I wasn't making fun of him. I was imitating this guy doing this voice. Mm-hmm. And somebody said, that's racist. I said, wait a minute. It's not racist. I'm imitating him. Am I doing a good job? Yeah. I said, well, you should tell him to stop talking like that. So, you know what I'm saying? So think about that. It's like a Rorschach test. You're telling me that if I can imitate somebody correctly, that's racist? What if I imitated Sidney Poitier? I said, they called me Mr. Tibbs. That's okay. What's wrong with that? That's a Black guy I'm imitating. Well, yeah. You see that? So if he does a voice, do they need your protection? Have you ever broke this down? It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, when you're on the side of it, like when you're on this side of it, yeah, you can see how
this side.
Because like I often say, I used to say this all the time when I was younger, right? Because my mom would say this, and people would say I talk white, and I'd be like, I actually talk like my mom, and my mom's Black. My parents are Black, so I actually talk like.
I would imagine. That doesn't surprise me.
Black people, so it's like I don't talk like a white guy. I actually talk like two Black people, actually. But so I know how silly it all is. But
did you ever show up someplace when somebody who's talked to you on the phone for a while and you never told them anything, and you walked up and said, "Hi, I'm Colin"? And they said,
"Oh yeah, I have a very I have a name that people would think I was probably Irish, probably red hair, ginger type." That used to happen a lot when I was doing job interviews. I used to have to. I've worked like probably 50 different jobs, just just going from agency to agency, job to job. And I've done hundreds of job interviews. Probably one of the things that helped me get over having to speak to people, working at so many different places, dealing with so many people. But I mean, often I would walk in and they'd be like, "Oh, all right." Like, "Oh, you're this guy? Okay. With this Irish name? Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize."
Interesting.
Yeah, that would happen a lot.
And how many times do they say Colin? I hate that.
Colin. Yeah, you get Colin.
Colin Powell.
Yeah, you get Colin. You get Cole, things like that, Colin. Yeah, Colin. Yeah, it's very weird. But more firsts. I want another first from you. First prosecution. Oh, my kid's trying to open the door here. Don't you
Let
dare.
them in. You know what they
give me 20 seconds. I have to go to the washroom. Hold this conversation with the audience for 20 seconds. Can you do it for me? Do it.
Oh, of course. Can you just go? Okay, now listen. While he's gone, let me tell you something. I love this guy, okay? And I know you do too. But I've got to tell you, and I'm going to tell you, I don't do this a lot because, frankly, a lot of people I don't. Maybe you're the same way. It's not that I'm better than them or they're not as good as me or they're better. It's like some people are just not that interesting. You know what I'm saying? By the way, while I'm on this, please send your support to Colin and to me at Lionel Nation. We please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And please, don't you love when they always do? They always do this.
Professional.
Oh yeah, when they always do this thing like that, somebody will say, "As far as I'm concerned, when I woke up and my mom was dead." By the way, like this video, call me. He said, "Wait a minute, what happened to the how they just recover quickly?"
So give me another first prosecution. What was that like? You've passed the bar. You're in the world. What was that like?
Well, the first time was kind of like simple, like, well, this may sound kind of silly. It's not really a good prosecution, but trials and things like that. But I just was actually in a courtroom for the first time saying, wow, this is great. And it was traffic court. You start off with like intake and then traffic and then maybe misdemeanor and juvenile and you go to felonies. But the first one was traffic. And traffic was the best because this is where everybody came in. You saw everybody. Small claims court, most dangerous place. And the most dangerous of the dangerous, family court. You don't want to be anywhere near there. That's not good. But anyway, it was I was second chair. Well, this guy who was my superior, it's like 6 months longer than me. We're in this thing. I don't know what, some case. Who knows? It was not an infraction. It wasn't like speeding. It was a criminal case. Reckless driving or not reckless, careless driving or something. So I got the chance. I said, let me ask a question. He goes, are you sure? I said, yeah, I can do it. So I wanted to cross-examine. So I had my legal pad and I walked up. So I asked a police officer, I said, did you say the light was yellow? He said, yeah. I said, just then, Colin, I swear to God, I went blank. And I said, that's what I thought you'd say. And I sat down and people were like, what the hell's going on with that? What'd I say? And he's my witness. Why am I throwing him off? So my superior says, what was that about? I said, I have no idea. Just pretend like it's okay. Just actually, and the judge is like this. And it was like, so I realized, don't ask questions. Cross-examination is the dumbest thing. It's their witness. It's your witness. Just sit down. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear you. There's nothing you're going to add to this, especially when you don't remember why you're even asking the question in the first place. I had a case one time. I was defending a woman for attempted first-degree murder. And the reason why is an attempt because this guy was shot like 5 times in the head, didn't die.
Wow.
Yeah, close contact. So anyway, make a long story short, this guy said, and she never, ever admitted it. It was always, okay, we're going to go to trial. I mean, it did. And he said, during the deposition, he said, I'll never forget her as long as I live. I'll never forget. He goes, I can't do it, but it sounded like, I'll never forget that bitch. You just like that bitch. I can still hear it. That bitch. I said, well, okay. I hope he says that in front of the jury. So he shows up to trial. He's got a subpoena and it was weird because the courtroom didn't have like numbers, like courtroom. You would think they would, but it's like, you got to know where to look. And he's walking up and down and he's looking for this and he walks over and my client is there. Black woman. And they're talking, and please don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes black folks are more friendly to black folks than white people are to other white people. And there are some folks who are exceedingly flirtatious with other women based upon different cultures. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Of course.
Whereas white people say, oh, I can't this woman out. This guy, no problem. Hey, baby, no problem. I said that, and people are going to think I'm racist. So anyway, so he's talking to her like this. This is the bitch I never forget. He's talking to her. Doesn't recognize her. She doesn't recognize him. They're talking to each other. And all of a sudden, this guy walks over and says, come here. I want to talk to you for a minute. He goes, what? He goes, I'm big. He goes, come here. He says, I'll be right back. So he says, what is it? She says, that's the bitch that shot you.
What?
And so anyway, so now he doesn't remember her. He was told that. So I come back and she is screaming, and the mother goes out because you're not going to believe it. I'm talking to, I don't know who he is. He's going to point me out. I said, you better believe it. So we walk back into court, and the judge said, all right, bring in the jury. I said, just pardon me, Your Honor, not to be problematic here, but I think we got a problem. You see what happened was, he goes, and I have a feeling that he's going to pick her out. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to make an oral motion to quash in-court ID because it's impermissibly suggestive. Whenever there's a lineup or anything where, let's say you're the suspect and I got four Chinese guys 3 feet tall and they pick you out, that's not a good lineup. That's impermissibly suggestive. So I said, I want to voir dire the witness. I want to talk to the witness. So I said, Mr. So-and-so, do you remember speaking to me on a deposition? Yeah. I said, remember, I asked you this one question. I said, if you would ever recognize her. I said, do you remember right here? In fact, I have it right here. It says, I'll never forget, pardon me, Your Honor. I'll never forget that bitch. Yeah. I said, now, you were sitting next to her for about 40 minutes, was it? Yeah. I said, and you're a bit of a player. And the jury wasn't there. You were a bit of a player, weren't you? He said, well, I said, I know. And he was like, okay. But you didn't recognize her, did you? No. I said, and be honest with you. And when the prosecutor says, do you see the woman in court that you touched you? You're going to point her out, aren't you? Aren't you? Well, he goes, not because you remember it, but because she's sitting there and, well, I said, Judge, he says, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, they can put on their testimony. Just don't point him out. Just don't point her out. You can tell your story, do whatever you want. So he tells the story and doesn't point her out. So we got time at the end of this because we didn't put on any witnesses other than our client.
Okay.
I had opening and closing. So I did the first closing argument, followed by the state, and then I follow up for the rebuttal. And I brought this chair out and I said, do you know who did this? Do you know who did it? You did it. I swear to God, you did it. I don't know who you are, but you did it. You were the one. This chair, this anonymous person. The prosecutor left the chair out. When he's doing this, he didn't put the chair back. And the jury's looking at this chair like, they didn't point him out. And when it got time for my rebuttal, I said, remember one thing. A crime was committed. This man was shot. I even had him show the jury where he was shot. He was shot. You should have seen the testimony. They were talking about how the EMS guy saw a shot in the head. I don't know what happened, where it went. Anyway. But I said, that was a crime that was committed. But if you go back and you find this woman guilty, then 2 crimes will be committed. But this one you can prevent. That's it. They went out, less than 30 minutes, not guilty. It was the talk of the court. And this thing, and the prosecutor was like this. So it goes to show you. So remember, when you talk about Tyler Robinson, tee it up. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to say what, who the jury is, how he looks. He may look scared. He may be cocky. He may look confident. You don't know if somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to point out the wrong part. You don't know. The courtroom is the greatest. The stuff that goes on, very rarely, it's not what people think on TV. It's a lot of the drama is very, very understated, but it is really good. And you have not lived until you're doing a closing argument. And if you screw up, you're going home no matter what. But either some bad guy gets off if you're the prosecutor or some poor schmuck goes to prison. If you make a mistake, and this is it. You don't remember where you are, where you live. It's not good guys, bad guys, justice. It is the performance of a lifetime. Wow. And you are just, whoo, man. And when you sit there and they do that, when they hit you like one buzzer means they got a question. It's like, 2 buzzers, we got a verdict. Call everybody together. Boom, 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 boom. and the jury walks out. And you know that sometimes if the jury looks at your guy, that's good. If they don't look at your guy, that's not good. It's pure defense lawyer. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Also, how long did they stay out? Was it a long time, a short time? You don't know. And every single time the judge says this, Madam foreperson, did you reach a verdict? Yes, Your Honor. Hurry up! Would you hand the verdict form to the bailiff? Bailiff walks over. Hurry up! He's taking your slow. It's like, and he gets it, and he puts his glasses on and looks at it, and you look for an eyebrow twitch or a look, nothing. He's making sure they didn't put like crayons on it and like dye or something like that. So he says, okay. So he says, Madam Clerk, publish the verdict.
Wow.
Get to the point. In the middle district of, we know in the middle district, we understand. The Central Division, Criminal Division, yes. Division A, yes, it's Division A, please. State of New Hampshire, State of Florida, the United States government, yes, we know that. Versus, I know this guy. We, the jury, find the defendant in the above entitled. Would you get fucking? And they always when they say, not you, and you like what? And for a moment, you've heard this a million times, and your brain says, "What is that? Is that good? Is that good?" And you're sitting there, and you're standing up, and you're facing this. Let me tell you something. I don't care. And this guy's, in the case of this woman, she said, "What happens?" I said, "You're acquitted. You're not guilty." And I said, "You can go home." And she collapsed.
Oh,
that's what she understood, because she was sleeping on the floor and all. I mean, it was whoa. And you walk in there, and it's just little old you, and you walk out, and you walk over to you always treat your opposing counsel like a champ. You know, you never gloat, never. Let me buy you a drink. Come on, let's go. Forget it. Because we all work together, and it's professional. You know, it's never mean spirited, because they're going to get you next time. And it is the most incredible. Let me tell you something. It's just, you take your opening act, closing act, opening for this guy, that guy, whatever it is. Those cases, it's the biggest. It's like justice, the Constitution, you're it, the flag, the Magna Carta, little old you and them. Yeah. And how many lawyers are not trial lawyers? They do divorce. I mean, they do trials, they do hearings, they do equity stuff. But to pick a jury, to go through this, to get to talk to them, let me tell you something. You can take all that opening night, all that radio stuff and podcasting. Nothing is like that. After that, you can do anything. Nothing.
That's very interesting. So tell me something.
And you'd be great at it too, because you know why?
Me.
You would connect with, you would realize what you'd have, but immediately they're going to trust you, and you're going to persuade them, not explain it, but persuade them. And if you've got a way about you, they will do, so long as it's not far-fetched, but you have to be able to talk to them and sell them and read them. And I wonder who's going to be the foreman or the foreperson. Maybe this one. I don't know. And you talk to them. I mean, it's really, you've got to select them depending upon the state. During voir dire, you get to pick the jury. You get to exclude some, and it's a process. It's the only time you can talk to them is during jury selection. Wow. You never can say like, "How am I doing?"
Yeah.
Never.
No. Wow, that's very interesting. Even as you're describing that, I feel like you're describing comedy. That was actually one of my questions. Like, do you see a place where all of these things you've done, broadcasting, comedy, the law, the attorney stuff, prosecuting, do you see a place where they all connect?
Yes.
Is there something that you do in all three?
Performance. Because I'm performing, and I can also throw in being a chef, putting on a restaurant. Everybody performs to an extent. Even sometimes being a doctor, even trying to perform to try to instill something. You're not just maybe other than if you're a pathologist, you're reading X-rays or something, but it's performance. The comedy thing is a very interesting. It's a very weird thing, and it's a dual thing. Finding out that I'll bet you, and you've seen this, no matter where you go, there are people who are absolutely positively, irrespective of what state they're in, they all laugh at the same stuff. You just know it. And also, if you're a nobody, they're different than if you're a big name, or they give you greater attention. They'll laugh at you easier because they're happy to be there. But they'll all laugh at the same. And when you get a joke and you pause and it's like, the only problem was it was Tuesday, as opposed to the only problem was it was Tuesday. Yeah. And you realize this when you do it enough. My God, how formulaic people are. They really wait for they're all the same. And then you go into, well, what are they laughing about? It's kind of like the surprise, because it's always a surprise. They know kind of what's coming, but you surprise them with something. They're laughing out of kind of almost, it's a shock surprise. That's what laughter is to me. You surprise them. They didn't see that coming. Because if they did, it's okay, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. But you did it in a way, either your reaction, the way you said it was a surprise, the way that, who knows? There's and you can, I don't want to go through a lot of the neurology of laughing, but it's fascinating because, by the way, when people laugh incorrectly, hebephrenia, a lot of psychotic behavior, schizophrenia, they'll laugh, but it's not really a laugh. It's something else. Sometimes, like if I said, well, look who it is. It's Colin. That's not laughing. That's not laughing at all. That's not good. Or laughing at somebody who's in pain. Ooh. I mean, this guy could be hysterical. It's like, there's something weird, Like sometimes I hear comedians talk about kids who are abused, and this is part of that shock. Sarah Silverman did this, Patton Oswalt did it. Sometimes they do that. They think it's Norm Macdonald would do it. They would talk about things, and the idea was it's such a shock. And I'm saying, you sure about that? That's not. I mean, you sure about? And they did it because, well, that's what we're laughing at. It's that shock thing, and certain people,
That's very interesting, thinking about that, why people laugh. I mean, that is a thing. It's weird. It's very weird, especially when it comes to comedy, because for me, I work things. You'll work things out at open mics. That's what I've had to do, right? But also, there is this thing where I record, because I don't write anything down, right? So I just record voice notes. And I kind of know where the laughs are supposed to be. And usually I'm right. That's usually what happens. I know where they're supposed to be, but I don't exactly know. You can't pinpoint why each person is laughing. Like even just a comment on a YouTube on one of my my live stream yesterday, somebody was like, I laugh so hard every time you say, what are we talking about here? Like I say that all the time. It's just a thing I say, I actually get it from my friend, rest in peace. One of my Italian buddies, he passed away, but I get it from him, because that's what he would always say.
By the way, I hope he passed away. If you said rest in peace, was he dead? No, I just want him to rest in peace.
No, he's just tired. That's all.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But yeah, he used to say that all the time. You seen Scarface before? No, I've never seen Scarface. What are we talking about here? Are you kidding me? Hey, put on Scarface now. No, this moron hasn't seen Scarface before. He's a guy.
Well, sometimes people will also say, I laugh so hard, and you're thinking, I don't think that was that funny, but okay, I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it. And sometimes also there's I'll tell you what I found to be, and I don't even apologize for this, is this. This is something I did when I was a kid, and I learned this, and I get different. Okay, there we go. Depending upon the humidity, I've been doing this since forever. And people will say, that's really lowbrow. Really? Okay. Let me show you how low. See what you did? Everybody laughs. And when I meet, like if there's a little kid or something, because they always look at me and they say, who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's this old guy. Who is this guy? It could be my grandpa. And I'll do I said, was that you? Did you? How dare you? Go, I did not do that. I go, don't give me that. I did not. And I
That
thought,
is hilarious.
I have walked into a CVS in New York where they're stealing. Everything's locked up. I don't know where you are, but everything's locked up. I mean, everything's behind glass and because of the shoplifting and the whole bit. But I can walk up and this one guy, like it looks like his name is Rusty. And even though my hands are like this, they don't see it like this. I said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Listen, there's this product. I don't know what the hell it is. Beano or Gasex. Do you know, I don't know how to, is there any way, I'm sorry, but, and they look at me because it's not the noise that bothers them. It's what follows. I thought to myself, only in New York, this terrifies this guy, terrifies him. Elevators, you haven't lived. You have not lived. Church.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah. When you go to the dentist's office, they put that thing on you and somebody's right there and they've got the glass and all this stuff. Yeah. And even with all of that, even with if I would, you say it may be I've done it on TV before. I've done it.
Wow.
Name it. It's the greatest thing. And depending upon, I get different depths and sounds. And anyway, now I have studied this forever. I've been in different countries. Everybody laughs. Everybody laughs. Why? I don't understand it. There's not. And people say that's gross. Well, why are they laughing? Laughing is legitimate. It's not everybody laughs at a racist joke. Not everybody laughs at a good joke. Not everybody laughs at not everybody is anything, but everybody laughs at that. Everybody can understand. Eric Swalwell can do whatever he wants to do, but they caught him farting supposedly on the air. And that's the thing. If you're caught farting, and whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. No matter how
it's crazy.
Rarefied we are, and it gets me. And I've talked about this, and I've gone through this, and people laugh. I said, "Do you think this is funny? You know what it's like being me? No intimacy. I always wanted to be a football player, a center. I can't do that. The word gets out, nobody stands behind me. Scuba diving, forget it. Astronaut, spacesuit, intimacy. I'm sorry." I said, so don't laugh at it. It's not funny. Anyway, to me, National Lampoon years ago had this thing called terminal flatulence. Look it up, TF. It's nothing to sniff at. And they had, what are the signs of TF? One was unaccountable pet deaths and burnt foliage. And they had a picture of a bathroom stall that was shattered, and it was TF, and it was this terminal flatulence, and it was the funniest thing. Now, again, people say, "Would you stop talking about that?" I want to know why is this funny, but other things are not. Do you know that in the FCC you can talk all you want? You cannot talk. The thing that will get you really fined. There's really no. It's funny. You can mention self-harm on radio, but not mention excrement.
Yes, yes, I've heard that.
But you can talk about probiotics. You can talk about gut health. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if you walked in and say, let me tell you something. One of life's little pleasures, am I right, my friend? You wake up in the morning and nope, hold it, stop.
Yeah. You can't talk
What
about
better way? How am I going to sell Metamucil? What am I going to talk about? Well, it's good for your health. That's not why you take it. I can't even tell people why you take it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's this weird why. I don't understand it.
The funniest part to you doing that is when you said, I do this, and you said, depending on the humidity.
Yes.
That made me laugh.
Well, this is okay. Here we go. Okay. Sometimes it gets wet. There we go. More loud, more sonorous. There we go. More baffled. You can get over. You can do also. Like, what the hell was that? Just and then slower. And if you're in a movie theater and I come behind you and you're just watching this and I just right behind your ear, it sounds like a cannon. And you watch your head go back.
Of course.
Like Dealey Plaza. By the way, speaking of which, You're too young to know this.
Okay.
But there was a time in this country when they had adult videos, like adult movies or X-rated movie where you could go to watch a movie with men in the middle of the day, like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how Pee Wee Herman got caught up. Yeah.
I never understood that. It's like, I'm sure the films, I just don't want to sit in a room and say, what am I watching this? Like, what, I'm an art lover, you know, what is this? So when we
just
were
a
in
bunch
high
of
school,
art lovers in there. Yeah. For sure.
when we were in art, I saw the funniest thing, and this is going to be something you're going to think about later, and you're going to be hysterically if you think about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
We're in there one time. We're in high school. Went to a Catholic. We slip away during the day. We're in there, and we would, because we didn't know what was what, but we thought it was funny. We're seeing this X-rated film with a bunch of strange sailors. We're watching this stuff anyway. So this friend of mine says, "Did you ever see this?" I said, "What?" It's not good when somebody's in an adult, film. Did you ever see this? What do you got in mind? Don't surprise me. So he pulls out a water gun, a little water pistol. I said, "Watch." He goes, "Watch this." So he's sitting there and he's aiming it. This guy's watching, he's watching whatever the scene is. Pizza boy. It's always this woman at home, the pizza delivery boy. Always had the bad jazz music. Hey, lady. My husband's not here. So he's watching this. So my friend is trying to gauge this. He's looking at the angle, the trajectory, the arc. And when he feels he gets it right, he fires this thing. And this guy over here gets this splatter of wet. His head, he got up and didn't just go like this, but started like in a spastic. I thought, this is the funniest thing, because in his mind, and he's looking around, who did it? And I said, I swear to you, if I'm in a picture and somebody says, "All right, smile," and I go, "Oh God, I don't want to smile." I think of that and I start smiling. I think that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
So if we see you smiling in a picture, that's what you're thinking about.
It's right. Think about just think of the horror of that. Dissect that for a moment.
Absolute horror. You think you're going to turn around. The guy can't be 20 feet away. He's going to have his pants down. He has to be at least like a foot away from you.
We don't need to go there, Colin. Colin, we don't need
saying, that's the terror. You're get up.
Down the physics of this. You
think there's going to be a guy standing right there. And you're like, do I wipe it off first? Do I punch him? Do I make him wipe it off?
What kind of disease am I going to get from this? I'm going to see you at the Tyler Robinson case when they talk about the trajectory. He said, "You're running about to call as an expert witness, Coach Colin." He doesn't know anything about ballistics, but he does know about splooge hitting yourself in a trajectory. Work with me, Judge. Work with me.
And then on top of that, if the guy is like 20 feet away, what can you do? You got to just be like,
yeah, right.
A good
you
shot,
know what? Touche, my friend.
That's pretty crazy.
Touche.
Didn't think that was possible, You got to take it like a badge of honor, I guess, Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. You've lived quite a life. I love it, man.
That's nothing. No. That's stuff I could tell you, but no. Listen, there's people walking. Let me tell you something. There's walking around people, single moms, and people who were in the military, people who were in war, and people who are cops, people who are teachers, and people have the best stories ever. When I did talk radio, I asked one time, I said, "What's the worst thing you've ever smelled in your life?" On radio. And the stories I heard were so good. And they were just, people said, "Oh, I got a story for you." Or what's the worst you've ever been scared? And I was skydiving twice. People talk about different things. There are people who tell stories, people who've been robbed, hurt, shot, people who've people have stories out there. They don't seem like they've lived a lot. And sometimes they may not be very eloquent in terms of usual things, but my God, are they good at telling their story? They're so eloquent. They can tell you how just an event, and you think this is spellbinding.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people with their stories, they don't realize how great their stories are until they tell it, right? Because a lot of people's stories stories are just, their life, right? I say that to you, you say no, but I'm hearing the stories and I'm like, oh, there's so much here. So many different people, personalities. For you, it's your experience, and it's just from you saying yes to a series of things. But for us, looking at the whole thing, listening to this whole thing, it's believe you me, I mean, I don't know if you can see the comments, but people are very happy with you. You're a gem.
I can see no comments whatsoever. I have no idea. No, but I tell you something, there's something very interesting about little things, and I find so many people, I love I can find so many people so interesting that I love them. I don't know why. There's this goodness or something. Some people, they're good with animals, like dogs will like them, babies will like them. There's some people I can kind of connect when I see these really good people, and I love old people, especially an old woman, a grandmother. I'm putty. Forget it. Whatever they want. Whatever they want. Women are the greatest when they hit about 70, 75, and their grandmother, and they don't give a shit. They wear whatever they want, and they wear a muumuu, and they're the best, the smartest, funny, dirty. They don't have to worry about this facade. It's hell being a woman. They're always putting on, they got to worry about what I look like, and this and that. I'm getting old. They figure, you know what? That's done. I'm going to be me. They're so interesting. Give me a grandmother. Oh, that's when women are the best.
I think that about most older people. They have they're really good that way. You can learn a lot from that. Not just about like the way things were in the past, but just in general. Their perspective, the perspective that you gain as you are, closer to 80 than you are to 10 years old, is
and they don't look like, it's hard to think like this woman I'm talking to right now. She's probably had like 60 sexual partners in a week. It's like, what? You think, did they have sex in the third? Oh yeah. Here's one for you. There was a guy that I know. It was this fellow, I didn't meet him, but I saw his pictures. He was, they always said, he landed at Normandy Beach, on D-Day. It's like, yeah. Everybody was at Normandy Beach. Okay, whatever. I took them at their word. Anyway, I went to their house, and they had a shadow box with all of his CIB combat infantry badge, all this stuff, his orders, Normandy. He was there. I mean, and he was 19. The guy was maybe 5'2", Italian guy. Colin, he had a look in his face. It was a killer. It was a guy who was not the 1,000-yard stare. But this guy was saying, hey, Paw, he's wearing the hat, But when he was 19, this guy, they dropped his ass off, and he never wanted to talk about it, which is a real sign of this. And I thought, what about that guy?
Yeah.
Do you think that 19-year-old just went away? It's there. But he's just, he's learned a lot. But people have stories. Yeah. They got a lot of stories, and they're really like old. I can take you like to Chinatown here in New York, right outside the courthouse. There's this park where they do Tai Chi in the morning.
Yeah.
And which kind of looks like these people on whatever these weird drugs are, fentanyl, like they're doing these zombie things, like they're doing the same thing, but something else. Now, these guys, what stories do they have? Like, what is an 80-year-old guy who doesn't speak English from Beijing? What is this guy's story?
Yeah.
And I bet you they've seen some stuff that's really, I mean, wow. So then you meet the old time. It's just like when you meet members who were, of that particular ilk, as we say, the certain social clubs. What did they think? What do they know? Yeah. What could they tell you? If you could just tap into their brain with a USB and just connect, my God.
Yeah.
And they don't look like much, but boy, can they tell you a story. They've lived.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, my wife's grandmother, we were lucky enough to have her. So my kids actually had a great grandmother. They actually have two great grandmothers. But she has the story of how she was born. And it was just in a farmhouse because my wife comes from like Mennonites, Mennonites. They're like kind of like Amish people.
I never understood the difference. Nobody can ever really tell me.
Yeah, it's like
like Amish light or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. They're building their own houses, that's for sure. And like they get together, making their own everything, right? But yeah, my wife's grandmother was born in a farmhouse with twins. So this woman was just put in a farmhouse and just given a piece of wood to just bite on and just gave birth to twins. And it's just the craziest thing. She's telling my wife this as we're having like our first, she's like, your body will know what to do. Like, this was how I was born. And I was like, wow. I was like, and then from then on, as she was talking, I was taking notes. I started asking her about marriage and what she thought about marriage and how the dynamics of men and women. And I was writing it all down. I was like, this is like, you don't get to do this. Like 2 years later, she passed away. I mean, it's like, it's very, very valuable knowledge. And even you, sir, with what you have to say, it's very,
if you have any more kids, hand this piece of like wood to your wife. It's like, no, trust me. It's a bit crude, but there's something to this. I remember one time there was a woman who was, it's so weird. There was a woman who was a young girl. She was I think it was in Jersey. It was at her prom. She gave birth to a child in the ladies' room, wrapped it in toilet paper or whatever it was, just left it and went back out and was dancing.
Wow.
Like it was nothing. Now, here's the best part. I always tell people, don't you tell me about you need special time off and maternity this and I need 4 days. This woman, when I was doing the Hully Gully, this one was in a field. It's like, what the hell is this all about? I say that, of course, in jest.
Wow.
We one time had a woman, a friend of mine defended a woman who gave birth. She never showed. They showed a picture of her before she gave birth to a term baby in a bikini. I swear to God, I don't know how this happened, but it was freaky. Now, think about this. One day you meet God, and I say, Colin, you're not going to believe this. This is God. Really? It's God. And let's say God, you realize, oh my God, you're right. No offense, God. And God says, let me ask you a question. I understand people are having a birth, giving birth at 40. Yeah. What the hell is that all about? What do you mean? I wanted people to give birth when their period starts. First time, have birth. That's what I want. Dogs, animals. What are you doing? No, God. Wait. Women are not able to, excuse me, what? Well, they're not ready they have to get the career. Excuse me, what was that? What was that again?
That's a good bit.
I say, what are you talking about? I say, that's what because remember, because the uterus is pristine. They're ready for it. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, they are just pumping these babies are taking pop together. Oh, there's a problem, obviously, from time to time. You're right about that. But for the most part, and what about this? Yeah, God, can I take you to the hospital? Sure. What are you going to do? I'm going to take you to the Alzheimer's ward. What the hell is that? It's old people. Well, how old are they? 90. He goes, 90? I don't want you to be 90. No wonder they're like that. I never intended that. There's a book called How We Die by Sherwin Newland. You ought to read this. And he said that nature wants you to live just long enough for your offspring to be able to be on their own, and they want you to go. They don't want flies hanging around forever, because if Benjamin Franklin were still here, we'd be wearing buckle shoes and talking funny. You're not supposed to be around forever. Death is not an oops. Death is a transition. Do your thing and get out. We want to change this. We want there to be this conveyor belt, and you guys are stretching this thing out. What is this all about? What are you doing? I remember one time there was this a doctor said, he was speaking. I find this fascinating. He was speaking to a bunch of parents who had kids with Down syndrome. Trisomy 21. Down syndrome. And he said, with more research, after a few years, we're going to make, we're going to make Down syndrome extinct, or not extinct, but we're going to make it. And this woman raised her hand and goes, excuse me, what are you saying? We love our son. He goes, oh, no, I'm not talking about, it's got a euthanasia. No, I'm saying, we're going to, what are you talking about? He says, it's not good. There's health. I thought to myself, what are you talking about? Do you know years ago when they got rid of Asperger's, the name Asperger's syndrome? they put up on the spectrum, on spectrum disorder. They were fighting women. That's our name. They were fighting for Asperger's. There was no joke. You know, people who put every app on their phone. You can imagine that's called Asperger's. Anyway, but the point is, people were just getting. Can you believe somebody actually being upset over the fact that you're going to get rid of a disease? What, hemophilia? You got a problem with that too? I mean,
hemophilia.
No, but what if somebody said, "But I'm hemophiliac"? No, I'm not talking about getting rid of you. This is how possessive people are about their own. Did you see this latest one where they had Kamala's daughter-in-law, that weird Ella, whatever her name is? She's a model. And if she's a model, I'm Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm the center for the Knicks. Anyway, so she says, I think after a period of time that SSRIs might cause a problem after a while. I was like, where the hell have you been? This is Bobby Kennedy, by the way, who's a waste of time. He hasn't done anything. He's
RFK Jr.?
Yeah, he's doing pull-ups.
No, he's fought for glyphosate. He tried to explain to Joe Rogan why glyphosate's a good thing. That was one of the craziest.
No, he's gone.
Because
gone.
There's a lot of disappointments within the administration. That was the craziest one because that just happened. He just talked with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan, he talks about glyphosate. He even talked to RFK before.
Do me a favor with Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan said, Joe, tell me a topic you know nothing about. Oh, but good. I'll talk to you about that. Because Joe comes across, he goes like, hey, here's this guy with all the tats and the whole bit. And, it's like, okay, fine. And he knows everything about it. And he has got a mind like a steel trap. Apparently he didn't take too many headshots during his career. No, so Bobby Kennedy but here's the thing about this. Bobby Kennedy, and you've heard this, right? SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Let me tell what I was telling you.
Well, why don't you let me say? First of all, don't talk to me like that. Who the hell do you think you are? Mr. Colin, Mr. Big Shot. No wonder your people rejected you with that kind of attitude.
Oh my gosh. I was just saying he was fighting for it. He was fighting against it. He said it was one of the things he was going to tackle and take away. And it's a big thing because a lot of people who think they have gluten insensitivity, they actually have a sensitivity to that. And he said he would take care of it. And, it's something that Europe's done.
SSRIs?
No, glyphosate.
Oh no, well, glyphosate. But no, glyphosate. Yeah, no, glyphosate is bad. No, but she's talking about SSRIs and depressed and all this other kind of stuff.
I know, but it's easier to talk about glyphosate than you bringing up SSRIs. Right.
Well, that's what I originally did, and you went into Joe Rogan and glyphosate.
I know because
I'm not going to tell you one more time. I'm not going to put up with this bullshit. I'm serious.
I'm trying to move past the subject of SSRIs. I don't want you to go into that.
No, but you're missing the point, though. You're missing the point. The thing I was trying to say was people will all of a sudden find themselves experts or something. That's like seed oils. I think seed oils. Where have you been? What have you been? Seed oils? Seed oils? This is your problem? Yeah, I don't take seed oils because they're made of canolas made of oil from. You're an expert in seed. What are you talking about? Anyway, all of a sudden, it's like the thing everybody's talking about. So anyway, so she says, I think SSRIs, because as you know, people who take SSRIs to get off of them, they're connected to homicide and self-harm.
Okay.
Right? Remember that? That's what they said.
Yes.
Well, here's the problem. But here's the problem with this. Who do you think would be taking this in the first place? People who might be prone to that in the first place. So how can you tell me that the addition of a particular chemical that addresses this problem caused the problem? See, they missed the point because it's the thing to say. People will just say things over and over. They don't understand it. How about this? They found out that in some particular cultures, people who drink a glass of wine a day live longer and healthier. In Okinawa or in the Mediterranean diet, if they drink a glass of wine a day. So people will say, oh, okay, so wine's good for you. No, they have a glass of wine a day. Well, that's what you said, wasn't it? No, I said they have a glass of wine a day. And so what they'll do is, well, is it the grapes? Is it the resveratrol? No. Well, what was the point? So somebody said, let's do an experiment to see what if people drank no wine at all? Would they be even healthier? And they were. You see, they missed the obvious. It was the fact that these people showed discipline to only drink a glass of wine. Let's try it without the wine. That was even better. Oh, you see what I mean? People look at a test the wrong way. How many times have you heard this? Olive oil is good for you. It's good for your heart. It's a good fat. No, it's not. It's fat. It's 100% fat. No. Extra virgin. No, it's good for your heart. It's not good for your heart. Maybe not as bad for your heart. It's not good for your heart. Wait a minute. What about the Mediterranean diet? They never said that in the Mediterranean diet. You think they said that. You see how we walk around all of a sudden overnight, we're experts in things. You weren't, I don't know if you remember during the OJ case, but everybody was a blood splatter expert overnight.
Well, I mean, that's a regular thing that happens. That's not even just, I mean, like, that's the OJ case, but that's everything. That's everything. And even as commentators, we all fall into that where we have to address things. And, you know, you shouldn't take the expert role, but a lot of people have to like, I'm talking about trajectory. I'm covering a Green Beret who's talking about trajectory of Tyler Robinson and vertebrae and all these things. I'm definitely not an expert.
Hey, watch it, buddy. Watch what we can't say anything.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this guy's a Green Beret, or this guy's a sniper, and he's telling us 30-06, and he's actually showing us. He's actually going out into a field, grabbing all these different things, doing that. So yeah, we all fall into that where you definitely don't.
You know what I love? You know what my favorite is? Stolen Valor. Have you ever seen Don Shipley?
No.
Okay. Shipley? Look up his name is Don Shipley. It's called Buds UB. It's called
hold on. We're gonna get into a whole other topic here. I want to focus in on Tyler Robinson really quick. Okay. There's a question that you asked.
Come on, tough guy.
There's a question that you asked.
Do you think Tyler Robbins is funny? You think that's funny?
You think death is funny? You asked Christine Fitiki. Yeah, there you go. You asked her, what do you see when you see Tyler Robinson? I want to pose the same question to you. What do you see when you see Tyler Robinson?
Acquittal. Patsy.
Actually?
Oh yeah. He can't be convicted of anything. He can't. They can't unless they have a new charge. They have a rifle they won't be able to admit because it's not linked to anything, and he didn't confess to anything. So you're going to be a juror. Let's say you're a juror. I say, okay, Mr. Colin, I want you to find him guilty, but kind of the way he looks, or maybe the way because none of this has to do with anything involving evidence, because the rifle that they're talking about is not in any way linked to anything. You see, I show people this all the time. You don't see it. I've got normally my lint brush, and the lint brush that I've got is also not linked to the murder. It's a rifle that's not linked. You can't, if it was a cannon, an M4, a flamethrower, you can't introduce that. Well, it's his fingerprints are on it, but there's no connection. He wasn't even hit apparently by a round. We don't even know what this thing is. And what if we do this? Here's my favorite. How much do you want to bet that when the medical examiner comes in and says, so do you have with you the stuff you found in his him? Yeah. Care to share it with us? Do I have to? Yeah. Okay, here it is. What is that? I don't know. Was this lead? No, it's plastic or something. I don't know what this is. See, that's going to change everything. We don't even know anything. So remember, did he confess? No. And you're going to bring in who? You're going to bring in Lance. What do you call him? What's it? Junebug or Luna, or whatever the nickname was. You're going to bring this one in. So let me tell you something. What exactly did he tell you he did it? Well, did he tell you? What did he say he did? He said he was there. I'm the one. I'm the one what? So why is he telling you he turns himself into the cops after he's Mirandized, never confesses? Isn't that odd to you? And the reason why he was there wasn't because he was going to confess. He was there because they told him, you better turn your ass in because they're going to get you. And your safest place is in jail. He never confessed. He never did. And they say they did, these experts who hate Tyler or think that somehow he's connected to Candace or I don't know, something.
Yeah.
He never confessed. Let me tell you something. Nobody's ever wonders like, did he confess? Normally you confess but didn't read Miranda. Confessions are clear cut. This is a joke. This is a bad joke.
So then possible acquittal, which is like mind blowing. I honestly, like, even though I have all these, I've covered so many different theories. I've looked at so many different things. I mean, that's still, there's
no evidence
blowing because he'd be walking out after all of this, after all the Blake and the Andrew Colvette and the Erica and all of the Candace is insane and all of the you guys are dangerous and evil and demonic. After all that, he actually walked would just be mind blowing.
But he didn't. But there's nothing to connect him. I mean, it's not even worth noting. It's nothing to connect him with. He didn't do it. I mean, there's nothing to connect him with. I'm sorry.
Do you think he makes it? Do you think like he possible acquittal? Do you think he actually?
Well, funny you say make it. I would say don't buy the green bananas. Be very, very careful. The latest story to show you how gullible people are. I got to be very careful. I'm going to say it, so watch it. Okay, be very careful.
All right.
But there was a story now about a certain note that Mr. Epstein may have left, which is if you believe that, you've got serious problems. You need remedial help. If you believe this, again, this vague, what is this?
But do you think that's what's going to happen to him?
Put it this way, everything would go away. This would become moot. It's like, oh, well, he did seem kind of crazy. Yeah. These things happen. Yeah. Who would cry? Nobody would cry. They would use this as an example of guilt. Americans are stupid, not gullible, stupid. Okay, you can do anything. No suspicion, no nothing. I promise you, if that happened, believe me when I tell you this, believe me. It's a very weird concept, but all I'm saying is going back to the other fellow his note, did you see the name Tartaglione? Of course not.
Yes.
Because okay, you know who he was? This was the guy who
wasn't that the ex. He's the ex-cop who.
Yes.
He did some wild stuff to some people.
Yes, to 4 people on his property, and he was facing. All right.
And if you see, like, for people who don't know, if you see this guy, I mean, jacked, huge enforcer type looking guy,
and had been in a problem where he roughed up this guy before, and would have been very easy. Nobody knows anything. Nobody cares. We have no suspicion left. There's no part of us anymore where we are the most gullible people. I swear to. So what I'm saying is, I don't care anything about Andrew Colvin or Mikey or Erica. I don't care about anybody, these people. I'm talking about the case itself. You've got to prove he did it. What did he do? And if they're going to probably do a motion in limine where they cannot mention the rifle whatsoever because it's not connected. They found a rifle there and they found his DNA on it and his fingerprints. Well, why shouldn't they? They're his.
Hold on. So like, just for, we're talking about like a motion to not mention the rifle.
Yeah.
Right. If that happens, is it referring to both sides not being able to mention the rifle?
Nobody can mention it. Whoever makes
the
motion, if the judge grants it, nobody brings it. Oh, they can't say only you can't mention it, but you can. No, it doesn't work that way.
Whoa.
Now, another thing too is where's the confession?
That's crazy.
Tell me what the evidence is. Well, we got this grainy guy running. Who is that? I think maybe. And by the way, when old Luna takes a stand, I'm going to say, first question, anybody grant you immunity? Because you're up here and you're talking about stuff, which, by the way, could be construed, believe it or not, as your perhaps aiding and abetting. You might be an accessory after the fact, harboring a fugitive, helping somebody out. Anybody grant you immunity? Why? Because I think we should read you Miranda warnings right now. That's always good before somebody testifies. You have the right to remain silent because you're about to tell everybody what you were doing with somebody who is telling you, by the way, I'm that guy on the lamb. Yeah. And from that moment
You're referring
on,
to Lance. You're referring to Lance right now.
Yes.
Yes.
So Lance might be, they might want to use Lance to say, well, maybe Lance can come through with some type of help, some type of way of sealing the fate of somebody. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that person is going to be really limited. And that's another one who should be very, very careful. Big time. Because what's happening is you're going to try to say that he admitted to something. And they're going to introduce what? What did they introduce? What could Lance say? Because they need somebody. They don't have a rifle. They don't have him admitting anything to his parents. They really don't. And even then, we don't know what Tyler's going to say, because Tyler, for all we know, could say, look, I was there, maybe to meet somebody else, maybe to be a part of something else, maybe to be a part, who knows, I was there. But all of a sudden he's there and he hears a noise like, wait a minute, what's that? They think it's me. He's the only person ever to be found guilty of a conspiracy he didn't know about. Think about that one. And you sit there.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
let me tell you something.
What?
Not that I could not be here another 4 hours. Believe me, I could. But I do have some things to do.
I do as well. But
you don't. You don't.
I do. You
don't have any kids. You pretend all this.
I have 2 kids.
What do you say you do?
You're
a lonely man. You're living in a trailer. You're making this stuff up.
I got a call I gotta go on. I got things to do. But I still have another question. The SD card guy, Terrell. Do you know the SD card guy who took the SD cards out? Do you think he's harmless or do you think he's suspect?
I don't know. Can I see what's on the SD card? Why was he charged with tampering with evidence? Who disassembles a crime scene? What's that all about? Who disassembles a crime scene?
Why is he allowed to do that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. That is and all I'm saying is 2 things. Remember one thing. This is the most important thing in the world.
What?
By the way, thank you. My first comment. I feel for the parents, because if they're not being just pushed out of this thing, I would be very, very surprised. I don't have any hard feelings towards Eric. I don't know her at all. But let's face it, she's a dingbat. She has no business doing anything. I don't know what she wanted to do. I don't think she was involved in anything, knew anything. I don't think any of these people, I don't think there's any complicity. I don't think they know. That's no. But she is out of her league, she's just so. And what I'm trying to find out is I want justice for her husband. Now, if she's not interested, I know you and I and Candace and Baron and others are involved in it, because I'm thinking about that guy, because somebody's going to speak for him. He didn't deserve what happened to him. And I don't want people to say, well, we'll never know. No. We're going to get to the bottom. And by the way, I know that Kash Patel's got an eye on it, but he's no good. The DOJ's no good. And all Kash Patel's worried about is, I'm getting laid. He doesn't know anything. He is a joke. And I'm so tired of people teasing us. The latest today was, don't worry, you know, we got the UFO stuff. You don't have any UFO. You're not going to release anything. Stop it.
Oh, I saw someone going through it. They were just showing it was a lot of it from what people were saying as this guy was going through it. It's a lot of it has already been shown.
It's called a limited hangout. It's a limited hangout. It's the oldest concept in intel work, the limited hangout, where you let something out and you fool and dupe people into thinking that somehow this explains it. Nixon mentioned it. Limited hangout, look it up. It's where you give something out and you say, okay, there we do. We've provided. He goes, no. That's not it. We want more of it. No, that was it. No, that was part of it. That was part of it. The people who, as far as UFO goes, look, you know they're real. You know we're not alone. You know it. This isn't just swamp gas, weather balloons, or the planet Venus. Stop it. Now, where they're from, I don't know. Why they're here, I don't know. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, the biggest gatekeeper of them all since Sagan, this guy Have you seen him in that stupid show with Chuck? What's not Chuck Nice or whatever it is? You ever seen that stupid show they do?
Cosmos?
No.
No.
You know what I love about you? You know so many things, but you know, like this is only the biggest show on TV, but you don't know that. And I appreciate that.
Me? TV. I stopped TV at 15 years old. I was done with
You'll
TV.
know the most arcane, recondite stuff there is, but I'll say, penicillin. Penicillin? No, it's what you don't know. It's fantastic. It's like you're a savant in reverse. You're amazing. You know everything and nothing simultaneously. It's incredible.
It's charming. It's part of my charm. That's what it is. Hold on. Before you go, there's some people who love you and they want to say things. Somebody said they'd pay to see you at the DC Improv. They're just saying, okay? There's someone else that says, I love you, Lionel. I would enjoy watching him in the courtroom. Coach, you're such a kind soul. I don't miss your show or Lionel's. They love both of us. And congrats on the new baby. I think they're talking to you. Congrats on the new baby. No, they're talking to me.
I think yours.
Tampa native here sending much love.
Diga.
Yeah, thanks for your brilliance and your humor. We appreciate you spending the day.
Tampa native, by the way, was called a tampeño or a tampon. Bloody well, right? No strings attached. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God, my first time watching live from Tokyo. Love you two. Wow.
I want to go to Tokyo. I want to go. The only place I want to go. I don't want to go anywhere in the world except Tokyo to see their food and their politeness and their civility.
Yeah. You know what I've seen videos of? People have to they bow, right? And there's Americans and they want to outdo the people in Tokyo. And the only way you can do it, you actually have to lay on the ground with your face to the ground.
I do that.
Because they can't bow lower than that.
Right.
So it's like a big thing. Congratulations, Coach, doing an outstanding job. Behind every great mint daddy is an even greater mint mama. Thanks, Lionel, for your enhancing vocab. There you go. Beautiful. Let me just keep going here. A lot of people love that you're on the show. Straight out of Oxford, just dropped Fetty Slop on X. Oh, that's about George Farmer being a gangster. Amy says, you come to Dallas, I will buy a ticket and I may be able to help you find a venue in Deep Elma. Oh, okay. Elm. Oh, my apologies.
Excellent. Thank you.
I will consider that. Definitely. Somebody says my two favorite, peanut butter and chocolate. You are the best, Lionel. Me and Coach are expanding our vocabulary day by day by listening.
Is this some racial? The worst part is not that you're chocolate. Am I peanut butter? What am I?
You're peanut butter.
I'm on peanut butter. Okay, fair enough.
That means he's saying you have some flavor to you, you know? Crazy cleaning lady Lionel going to NYC in 3 weeks with 4 girls for my 40th. What's one thing you absolutely must see or do that they must see or do? Any comedy clubs that you can recommend?
Hi, there are more than you can imagine. Just look at anything even remotely indicative of, we used to have like Time Out New York, but something like that. There's so much. It depends where you're going. Stay away from the tourist stuff. I hate to say it. Just get a flavor of New York. But the first time you want to go, you probably want to do all that. You got to see Times Square for the first time. It's like, holy God.
Yeah, I bet.
You realize that there are more people probably on my block right now than in some cities. It's enormous. It is just the size, the amount of people. It's really something. It's a great place, New York. I don't care what anybody says.
There you go. Lovable R-word savants going on a shirt. There you go. Thank you very much. Love you too. What a treat. Big Boy Ploy may be my favorite 5-question interview ever. Oh man, you gotta just let it flow. A lot of people don't like the flow. It's weird. People don't like it when it just flows, but then they also get mad if you interrupt a lot. So I like to just let it flow. Especially with someone like Lionel,
Look at this one.
My favorite old man. My coach is my favorite black man. There you go. We should have a buddy show. Old and black.
You know, it's funny you say that. You show me the tattoos. You know who's a great guy? You ever meet Jimmy Walker? Remember Dynamite, Jimmy Walker, JJ Walker, Jimmy?
Of course, no, I never met him, but yeah.
One of the nicest people you ever meet in your life. He did this one. He said one time, he says, sometimes he goes, I understand getting tattoos. He goes, but sometimes you got to make sure your skin isn't you got to be able to see it. He says, some people's skin is so dark. He says, it's like skywriting at night.
Yep.
Think about that analogy. It's one of the best ones ever.
He's 100% right. Some black people, it's just like, it just looks like marks. You can't tell what it is at all. I'm lucky though. I'm a little lighter, so you can see what's going on pretty well.
Well, just be careful of that ink, because people forget, you're putting layers of ink in your body, and that cannot be good for you. One of these days, don't be surprised if all of a sudden look at you.
It's been going on forever. They invented tattoos before you were even born. They've been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but not at this, unless you're like either in the Russian mob or the Japanese. You know what I mean? You don't see too many of this. I'm just saying.
True. We'll see. I'll let you know how it turns out. Lionel, speaking of me, and I'm only 35.
Excellent.
There you go. Let's keep going here. Let me just see. My favorite new comeback when people want to argue is why so sad. Oh, I don't know. You know that with Erica Kirk, somebody yelled out why so sad as she was leaving. It's ridiculous. Shout out to that person. Lionel, explain all the Q trash that didn't happen. No, don't explain anything with Q. Don't explain anything with Q. Tyler, I'm trying to survive here. I do have 2 kids. Don't listen to Lionel. Tyler Robinson isn't guilty, but nobody is going down for the case. The agencies will always get away with this kind of BS. It's what they do and how it is. Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah. You've been paying attention for the past 45 years. Big Goy Paloy, not a complaint at all. There you go. Perfect. Beautiful. Big Goy Paloy there.
Are you a groiper? We'll talk about that next
Absolutely not. No.
I don't even know what the hell. You know what?
I'm a guy who makes videos. That's it. That's all I do.
I like that. I also said about Russ Myers. Well, let me tell you something right now. I want to thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Not for what you do, but for what you appear to do. And I mean that.
Thank you so
I'd
much.
rather be with you and your people than the finest people in the world. And I mean that sincerely. When they read the name, that's from Roxanne. When they read the name of the great videographers and the great comedians of all time, you're going to be out there listening. And I mean that sincerely. From the heart, brother. From the heart. I don't just tell everybody that. No, I mean, no, you earned it.
You have learned a lot from these amazing men, Pat Cooper, Dick Gregory. You've learned a lot from these incredible guys. All right. One thing you did the James Lipton interview. I have to ask, so we're going to get a little actor studio. Greatest lesson from all the lives you've lived: law, love, comedy, broadcasting, advice for the next generation. Hit it. That's what we end on. Give us something.
That's a great question. You know what? This sounds really, really stupid, but it's like when you're doing something, pay attention to what's happening. That sounds crazy. But if you're like doing something right now, like I'm taking, like I learned a lot about doing video with you. I learned a lot about, I'm paying attention to what's happening, about the flow. I'm always, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always paying attention. I always learn something. Like, this is good. Just you sometimes you'll do something which you'll think, this is a waste of time. No, it's not. You learn something every single time. It's part of your quiver, part of your collective, your arsenal of information. So I thank you, sir.
Wow.
Colin, you're a good man. I thank you, my friend.
Thank you very, very much. And we'll do it again sometime when things start popping off with the case. And hopefully we're all safe, because once he starts walking, I think we all have to watch out a little bit.
He has to. If he doesn't, there's no justice. It won't be the first time there's no justice, but it's not a matter of whether I like him, don't like him. It's just, it has to be. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Take it easy. I'm going to read a couple more of these. Love you, Lionel. Thank you so much.
All the best.
I can't do it yet. I'll learn how. We're close.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Lionel, ladies and gentlemen. Lionel. So people walking by my office thinking that I finally lost my mind. Love you two together. Please get Christine and you three plan an in-person show. I have a 700-seat auditorium in Louisville, Kentucky. Come here. That is nuts, Natalie. That would be wild to do something like that. I'm in. I'm in. You know, you gotta ask Christine and Lionel what they're willing to do though. If they're in, then I'm in. Let's do it. That would be a very interesting show. Very interesting. I don't know who would open, who would warm it up. I think I'd have to warm it up. I think I'd have to. Jesse said that you two are the best. Another great conversation. Love that Lionel is in New York, into the New York hip hop scene. Does he know artist Marley Craft, Hell's Kitchen product? He doesn't know. Maybe he does. I shouldn't even say it. I can't underestimate Lionel at all. Did he put Den Shapiro's mom in a headboard coma in Eddie 3? I'm so glad I didn't ask him that question. You're nuts. Headboard coma, Ben Shapiro's mom. How dare you? How dare you? Lionel's his dad. Lionel, my nana, was a hostess at the Playboy Club, and I knew as a kid how much she despised Bill Cosby. Yeah, of course. He kept mixing things in the drinks. I thought she was just racist. But later I learned she knew he was a predator. Really dark stuff. Thanks for collaborating for the truth. Thanks for recognizing that our coach Colin is truly decent, righteous dude, deserving of success. Absolute delight. Thank you so much. Florida Rican right here. I haven't heard from you in a minute. I heard Lionel mention Romania the other day, and it sparked my curiosity all about the reports in connection to Constanta as a USCG veteran. Are you? I always heard that the majority of the rush hour traffic is done through shipping ports. Constanta is a port city. Decided to look up who was in charge of the port within CBP. Diane Sabinto is an executive assistant commissioner within Office of Field of Operations. In brief search, we got a whole lot here. I found that she was allegedly, maybe perhaps, convicted of being that women across state lines with someone named Joseph, maybe her husband, maybe your brother. It blows my mind that the people tasked with protecting are frequently more dirty and corrupt than the very people they're supposed to be taking off the streets. So disgusted. That's interesting. That's exactly what happened with the Daily Wire, right? The Daily Wire had that Zach Lewis guy. And it turned out Zach Lewis, was working with kids, but also, doing some evil things in the background. So it's like, oh man, it usually ends up like that. It's wild. Oh no, look at Nickelodeon, right? Look into Nickelodeon. It's crazy. Oh no, I had this all written out and then my browser refreshed. I forgot to hit the buy button. I have half of it lost in the sands of time. Oh, I hate when that happens. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But I'm just sending my ideas to your IG. Oh, okay, perfect. I'll make sure to look at it. If you did not watch Dank's interview with Blake, I did watch some of Danks's interview with Blake. Very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. I'm going to be talking about it over the weekend. I'm going to put out some videos over the weekend because I did this interview and stuff, and then I'm going to be interviewing Sabby on Monday. So I'm going to be putting out some weekend and evening stuff for everybody, just for the stuff that I missed that we didn't talk about here. Mama, did you see the voluminous mountain of evidence about them aliens? Bro, you kill me every time you do one of those impressions. Keep on keeping on. Your sobriety journey is so much like my husband's. It took hitting rock bottom to look up at our Savior, Jesus Christ the King. Amen to that. Many blessings to you all. Continued blessings to Mrs. Coach. Healing. I had 4 C-sections, so she is a bad bitch in my book. Yeah, I mean, God willing, that's the number that we're looking to have as well. So we definitely feel you there. That's what we're going for. So shout out to you for going through it for your family. Bro, I watched somebody said, somebody saw my video and it had 33,666 views views. And yeah, that's going to happen. That's okay. Don't worry. I'm sure it went up by now, which it did. Mike Riley, thanks for the prayer, brother. But damn, absolutely love Officer Tatum and Mama. Yeah, the aliens bit. I have to do the aliens bit. Thank you so much for telling me that. Mike Riley, I'm 100% gonna do the aliens bit. For some reason, not everybody's coffees are showing up here. 2 of the best. Another great conversation from Jesse. Okay. So that was from Jesse. Yeah. Okay. All right. We actually hit them all. Beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here with me and Lionel. It was a wild little time that we had. It's going to be such a weird contrast going from talking to Lionel to Monday talking with Sabby. It is going to be very different. Very, very, very different. But I'm here for it. I love doing the interviews. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. So much. This was a whole day. I have to get going though. I have a lot to do. We're doing the members. Are we doing the members today? I think so. I have to see how much we have to do today for me and my wife. We have a bunch that we have on the docket, things for her that I need to do, things for myself as well. I have to take care of my health. I got to work out. I definitely have to talk to my personal trainer. I have a coaching call in a few minutes. So we're going to see. I always put out the message to all you guys. And honestly, I don't know why I'm not using the Discord for this type of thing. I have a Discord. Shout out to Danks for building it. And I should be letting you guys know in the Discord when the member stuff is going on. I know there's a little thing that goes off, but man, I gotta make sure to let you guys know. Baron has Danks in the member show today. Oh man, cool. Oh, I can't wait to see that. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I actually want to get Danks on the show Friday. I'm hoping next Friday. That's what I'm hoping to do. And then I'm supposed to have Fredo Cassia on at some point, but we're still trying to arrange that. She's saying Tuesday, but I'm trying to do the interviews Monday and Friday. That's what I'm trying to do. And then also I have to reach out to Baron because I do want Baron on the show. He's a lovely man, and I'd love to hear about life since he is decided to do this full time. Because the last time we sat down together in the members, he actually had just gave his 2 weeks and left his job and everything. So he has accomplished a remarkable amount since then. I don't know if you guys know. I mean, he's kind of a big deal. I don't know. Kind of a big deal, you know. It's getting cooler and cooler to say that I know Baron personally. I mean, I can text him right now. I mean, it's getting pretty cool. I have to say. Yeah, but no, he's done some amazing stuff. Him and Daisy, they're accomplishing great things. So hopefully I can get him on the show. We'll see though. Anyways, guys, just wanted to say all that. Thank you guys so much. And Lionel has inspired me so much. You guys have inspired me so much. I definitely will be doing live shows very, very soon. Very, very soon. You will be able to see this show live at a venue. That is going to happen in 2026. I want to do that at least 10 times, at least. So we're working on it. Anyways, love you guys. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Another interview on Monday, and then we'll get back to it. But videos on the weekend. There's going to be weekend videos. So 10 a.m. EST sharp for the weekend videos. All right. I'm out of here. Thanks for staying, guys.